and he just misses the kick.
Thank you for that. Pain, suffering, darkness. That's just me. Good morning. Congratulations to the Chiefs. I don't want to be a bad loser. Congratulations to the Chiefs. They went into Buffalo. They got the job done. They get the right to be slaughtered by the Baltimore Ravens because I think that's going to happen to, in the AFC Championship game. But let's pause. We'll get plenty of time to break that game down. Good morning, by the way. Maggie Gray, sad Bills fan, along with Andrew Perloff.
Yeah, this is a safe space, Maggie. You can say whatever you want today. You've already... we're 10 seconds in, taking a shot at Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, which is weird.
I think that's a credit to the Ravens. But we'll get to that game.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens injury depleted Buffalo, but this is a 3-point spread compared to the other game, which is a big spread. I don't know about that, but I just think that you just sort of probably caught up in this moment.
I am. I'm in my feelings. This is 0-3 now against Patrick Mahomes in the postseason. This was a Bills team that backed into the playoffs. It's weird to say they backed into the number 2 seed in 2 home playoff games, but that's just how the season went. They were so decimated on defense. They didn't make the right adjustments as the game went on, so credit to the Chiefs coaching staff who really figured things out. I think the Bills sort of played right into their hands. And then the moments that the Bills did actually want to try to get aggressive, unfortunately, did not work out with a couple key drops. Like they couldn't run the ball in the fourth quarter. Key drops by 2 wide receivers, including Stephon Diggs on a big 60-yard bomb and a missed field goal, as you just heard. And against the Chiefs, even if you caught some breaks earlier in the game, that's not going to be enough, and the Bills go home losers.
Yeah, how do you run that well at home, and still the Chiefs never had the ball in their hands, and they couldn't slow them down at all? This is not the Kansas City Chiefs of 2 years ago. So explain to me logistically.
This isn't the Bills' defense of opening week. I mean, the
Bills' defense, I know there was injuries, but they hadn't been this bad. This was crazy how easy it was for Kansas City.
Well, you're facing the best quarterback in the league. You're facing Andy Reid, who really made adjustments throughout this game. Like, they started to figure out and pick up their rhythm, and the Bills sort of lost, I think, their rhythm in the fourth quarter. There were at times where they were able to recover from a couple, like they did recover from the Stephon Diggs drop, and they were able to get that drive going and complete the drive and get into field goal range. They were able to recover from what is one of the bonehead plays of all time, the fake punt, where I can't believe the Bills coaching staff, if they are indeed responsible for this, and it wasn't just an automatic check by the players, if they indeed called for this fake punt when they had 5 yards to go in front of a basically wall of Kansas City defenders, how dare you put that in Damar Hamlin's hands and make Bills fans curse him under our breath, considering what a hero and what an inspiration he's been.
It's not supposed to be a wall. The Chiefs had 10 players on the field.
Well, all of them were up front.
They were all right there. Yes.
What are we doing?
Are we playing Monday Morning Quarterback, calling out that play because it didn't work? If it had worked, then they'd be a hero and the Chiefs would be idiots.
Well, not luckily, but 2 plays later, Mecole Hardman fumbled the ball into the end zone, which gave the Bills a touchback, which felt like almost a gift, but it was true. He did fumble the ball. Whatever you think of that rule, that's the rule.
Accurate.
I think defensive players like it because it gives them some sort of, evening of the playing field right at the goal line.
It helped for the drama of that game. Otherwise, that game would have been a 10-point spread. It might have been over. Yeah. So if I told you coming in, Maggie, and this, I don't mean to make this worse.
Yeah,
if the Bills were going to outpossess the Chiefs 37 minutes to 23 minutes, that they were going to win the turnover battle, and they were going to lose the game.
Yeah.
How would you have if I told you were going to run at will on this Chiefs team and that Josh Allen was not going to have an interception? I think you would have felt good.
And I was. And I was feeling good.
I'm sorry. I need to go into the Maggie Gray living room. When did it start? When did you really start to panic and be like, oh, same old story?
The moment that Josh Allen missed the potential touchdown in the end zone. On that drive, and then they have to settle for the field goal, the 44-yarder in the swirling wind, where, that as soon as he missed that, I was like, oh, wait a minute, what are they doing here? Like, what is going on? And they couldn't get anything going in that final drive. He may have missed Diggs on a crossing route, like right in the middle of the field. It was that last drive. It's like it ended so meekly. In some ways, it wasn't. It was anticlimactic. I thought in a lot of ways, it wasn't. To me, it didn't. That the final drive for the Bills, they missed the field goal and then give the ball back to Kansas City just to run the clock out. It didn't feel worthy of the ending of this game and also another iteration of this rivalry because. That was their best punch. That was your best plays. Those were your best moments, and they totally fell flat. It's that can't be your final, your gotta have it's. That can't be your gotta have it's. And so for that reason and many other reasons, I do think that the Bills need a total change on the coaching staff. We can get into that later. You guys know if you're listening to the show, not just tuning in for my tears today, which drink them up. They're here. I'm going to give you full tears, but I said I wanted Jim Harbaugh before the playoffs even started. I want them to double down on that.
Yeah, everybody wants Jim Harbaugh. You're probably not getting Jim Harbaugh, but you're competing with the rest of college football and NFL, and you have a great quarterback, but you have an aging roster. I'm not sure Jim Harbaugh, he's living it. He's telling you the LA Chargers and Western New York.
Listen, you want to actually win playoff games, or you want to be the Chargers head coach?
Yeah, that's a tough choice. But that's your answer? Okay, what if it's not Jim Harbaugh? What if it's Bill Belichick? What if it's Mike Vrabel or Ben Johnson?
I don't know if you can trust this type of team in this situation to a first-time head coach. To bring in Ben Johnson, that feels like a lot. You're asking somebody as a first-time head coach to come in and really get this team to a place they haven't been. I think that's asking a lot.
Okay, so
Belichick, to me, though, I'm not that into Belichick either right now.
No, I get that. I totally get that. You know when I knew the game was over? I picked the Bills. That's probably when we should have known it was over.
Yeah, thank you. I told you that was conduct detrimental to the show the moment you made that pick.
Oh, man, I felt so good the first half. In the fourth, the last drive, everyone's talking about a couple plays. The Diggs dropped the long bomb, talking about the possible touchdown, which was the Gabe Davis touchdown, I call it, even though Gabe Davis wasn't on the field. Yeah. Earlier in that drive, Josh Allen threw the ball straight at two Chiefs defenders. He wanted to throw an interception there.
Carl Loftus, when he bats it down? Yeah.
No. When it hit, I think it hit Snead's hands. It was about to go into another Chiefs safety's hands. Then Josh Allen fumbles it, and somehow it was on the ground for about a minute and a half. I'm like, oh my gosh, he is coming apart at the wheels. And then even the end of that drive, there were so many opportunities. He had a guy in the end zone, but he had a guy underneath. If they had just tried to get a couple more first downs and kept throwing to Dalton Kincaid, it did feel like Josh Allen and the Bills were destined or intent on blowing that game late in the fourth quarter.
They were on a 16-play drive. Yeah. Do you realize? The Bills can't go on 16-play drives normally because Josh Allen will turn the ball over. This doesn't exist in my life as a Josh Allen and Bills fan. And so to have a 16-play drive and to not have your absolute best stuff inside the 2-minute warning, what have you learned? And again, we want to talk about the Kansas City side. To the victor goes the spoils. I mean, they've been better inside of 2 minutes in the 13 seconds game and then in this game. And they deserve to win this one. But inside of 2 minutes, you need your best plays when you are at home and you have the ball in your hand. And I know that they were worried, I'm sure, about giving the ball back to Patrick Mahomes with tons of time. I think they really wanted to bleed the clock out.
It was in their head, for sure.
The problem is, you can't play like that when you have over a minute and a half to go.
I think they could have made that drive last longer.
Maybe.
They should not have taken those shots at the end zone because they could have gotten first down. How come Josh Allen ran every single play in the first half and then fourth quarter with the game on the line, it's I'm going to start passing the ball? Why didn't he keep on running?
I think that was one of the adjustments that the Chiefs defense made. All right, let's start listening to a little bit of sound from this game. How about Josh Allen losing to the Chiefs or really anybody? Well, just sucks.
Sucks. Losing sucks. Losing to them, losing to anybody at home sucks.
Yeah. There you go.
Accurate. Deep analysis.
That was one that was accurate. Let's hear Sean McDermott. Let's have about cut 34. Sean McDermott is trying to figure out how they do get over the hump and beat these Chiefs.
Obviously, the season just got over, but we'll turn over every leaf this offseason. And, I'm fully confident in this football team, fully confident in our staff. And we're within a whisker of tying that game and maybe even taking the lead there against the defending world champ. So, again, we just didn't do enough, starting with me, just didn't do enough tonight to win this game.
Yeah, and this is going to be the story until they make changes. Because you need a whole new, like I've said, and I was a little bit off maybe on my first prediction, but I'm going to bring it back, which is I said that Patrick Mahomes was like Michael Jordan, where he was going to keep multiple guys from winning Super Bowls because of his brilliance. I take that back. He's Josh Allen's Michael Jordan. I can't talk about Joe Burrow and Lamar and who knows what's going to happen with these other young quarterbacks in the AFC. He's Josh Allen and the Bills' Michael Jordan. He is the gatekeeper to them whenever they face Patrick Mahomes. That's it. Do not enter. Thou shalt not pass. This is why you need a change, because so far, and it's not like they've been getting blown out. They've been close in these games. It's basically been one-score games, except for the first time they met. That was a two-score game in the postseason. You need a different voice, just like the Chicago Bulls needed a different voice when it was Phil Jackson who got brought in to get them over the hump. It's roster stuff, it's coaching stuff, and it's got to change, or else you're just going to keep banging your head against the wall and you're going to be coming out with the same result.
Yeah, but you got a problem. You're too close to just completely revamp the roster.
I know. Well, I know, but this is what happens when you pay your quarterback and when you have other high-priced people and you've pushed your chips into the middle of the table and it doesn't work. Now you've got to figure that out. You don't get to rebuild in a traditional way when you're this close.
You know what else would have been smart of Sean? Don't let everyone get injured. I mean, what was going on defense? Who were when Bernard's backup came in, AJ Klein, and then he got injured too? I was like, who's going to play? Is Maggie going to come down from the stands and put on some pads and play linebacker?
I wanted to. AJ Klein, by the way, is the guy they called off the couch a couple weeks ago. And
they were desperate when they needed him to be his best. They were so injured. I mean, Pacheco, just look at the last drive of the game when Kansas City won first down. It was so easy for Pacheco. I couldn't believe, Pacheco's good, but he's not that good.
Every time the Chiefs did not either give it to Pacheco or Travis Kelce, I was like, what are you doing? You're giving the Bills a shot here. They can't stop either one of these guys. Why would you go away from the run and why would you go away from Kelce? Because the Bills couldn't do anything in the middle of the field. It was wide open.
Yeah, this was I blame the injuries. Honestly, if it was a fully stacked Bills team, they would have. Everyone looks at the last few minutes, but the Bills lost this game in many ways earlier in the game because even if they had hit that field goal, even if they had scored a touchdown, I don't know if they could have stopped Mahomes. Because when Mahomes sells out with his legs and he's like, I'm going to run whatever I want, trust me, as an Eagles fan, he's impossible to stop.
Let's hear from Patrick Mahomes. Let's hear from Mahomes, actually, Pete. I'm sorry, how he cherishes these matchups with Josh Allen and the other elite quarterbacks.
Every time I go up against Josh, I know that it's going to come down to the end just because of the competitor that he is and the player that he is. Same when I go up against Joe, when I go up against Lamar, all these guys. And I know how much fire they have, and they're not going to give up to the very end. And you appreciate that stuff. I mean, these are the games I watched growing up. The great quarterbacks going up against each other with great football teams, great organizations. And that's what I remember. So hopefully I'm making, like I said earlier in the week, hopefully we're making those memories for other little kids that are growing up watching football.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he does love playing Josh Allen in the postseason. He's 3-0 against him. I'd love it too.
Memories for kids, sadness for Maggie.
Yeah. In some ways, I think every time I think I'm kind of numb to this stuff at this point, it's just starts to bubble up inside of me. And this one, this one is different than the 13 seconds game. The 13 seconds game, that was a really good team at the end of the year. That was a really great Bills team that had a real shot to win the Super Bowl that year. I don't know if this Bills team if they had won the game and gone into Baltimore next week, I think they might be getting crushed. I mean, Baltimore looked so good in the second half against the Texans, and we'll talk about that game and all of the games. But if you allow me to vent and just get it all out about the Bills.
Yeah, I have no idea if Buffalo in a cold weather game against Baltimore is a lot different than Houston in a cold weather game against Baltimore. Houston, obviously, the second the weather turned, that game was over. They had no chance. I'm not sure. I think Kansas City has a great chance. I'm very curious about this question. Is Patrick Mahomes and Michael Jordan just Josh Allen? Just because Joe Burrow beat him once, no one else has beat him Who else has beaten him? Tom Brady beat him.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I think you're counting out Kansas City way too quickly in this Baltimore game because Lamar could have the same Michael Jordan problem that Josh Allen has. Maybe it's not just Josh Allen. Maybe everybody has a Patrick Mahomes problem.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think Lamar and the Ravens are on another plane right now. They're in a different stratosphere.
But the Chiefs show that they had made an adjustment. The main problem with the Ravens is Lamar's legs.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's legs were killing the Chiefs last night.
Killing them
and
last night.
Give Reed and Spagnuolo credit. They changed the game by putting a spy on him, which then all of a sudden, we've always said this, the Bills' only surefire play is Josh Allen running the ball.
They're on the drives where he didn't run the ball, I think, which was like 2 drives in the entire game, turnover. Like turnovers on downs, like or had to punt the ball. Like one was a 5-play drive and had to punt the ball away. The other, I think they went like 4 and out. Like he must be running the ball. In the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio, or Maggie's karaoke pants. Which one's split? Not the uprights, but during a karaoke session. He said, wide right is fate. This Bills team will not win a championship. Also, suffering is a memory. Yes,
wow.
And yes.
Deep.
You guys wonder why I am the way I am. You're like, why can't you be more positive about this team?
Yeah.
Middle fingers to everyone who's ever told me essentially to smile more when it comes to the Bills.
That's not really what we say about you. Why can't you be more positive about life?
Well,
and this explains it.
Yes, now you get it. And I do have one rule, and it's going to be steadfast, and I'm going to hold everybody to it, and I will not move an inch on this. If you were not alive for the original wide right, you cannot talk smack about this wide right. You weren't even there for the original wide right. So I don't want to hear it from Gen Z or young millennial or whatever. You can't talk smack about the original wide right if you did not exist on this earth during the first wide right.
What if you were born in 1991 but not alive?
Right. Maggie was
me.
4 in 1991. Yeah. I don't know what the heck she's talking about.
I'm just saying, if you weren't there for the original pain.
What is your memory of wide right?
If you didn't have to go to school the next day after the first wide right, you can't talk junk today after the second wide right.
You remember wide right?
I mean, I was 8, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So
it feels draconian.
What? No.
This rule.
It's not.
How is it not draconian?
Everyone just duct tape across your mouths if you don't remember the original wide right. And now you're going to come back and be like, oh my gosh, the wide right, the Bills, this is another wide right. You weren't even alive. You don't even know.
It's slightly different.
Out of here.
Slightly different because I think the win probability for the Chiefs was about 99% if the field goal got in. There's a minute 47 for Patrick Mahomes. That would have been a slight problem for the Bills.
So? Yeah. He didn't even he only needs obviously 13 seconds.
They needed to score a touchdown and go up 4 so they could have at least protected the end zone. This was a bad situation all around. Honestly, I think the bigger problems were this couple throws Josh Allen had right before the wide right. So I'm not going wide right. I'm going the throws right before.
Yeah, those throws right before. You wanted to let Stephon Diggs off the hook. Perloff's like, it was a really difficult catch. Of course it is. That's why he gets paid $30 million a year. Of course it's a hard catch.
Yeah, but I mean, he is not. He's 30. He hit a wall. Honestly, we looked at that play 10 times before. It's not that he's slow. It's that Josh Allen actually underthrew that ball. That's what you're relying on, a 70-yard moon ball with 3 guys on him is the blown play?
I don't know why they called that play at that moment. All I know is that Stephon Diggs wants the ball. Here it is.
I got a better plan.
Right through your hands.
I got a better plan. Why don't you do what you've done all game and just have Josh Allen run it down their throat and score a touchdown and get the win?
They couldn't do it anymore. They couldn't run
anymore.
Because
they were throwing the ball, which was not their strength.
The Chiefs took away the run game from them. That's a credit to them.
So throw it to Kincaid 9 times in a row and get a bunch of first downs and win me the game. Sorry.
I guess I'm not numb to these losses.
Don't sound like it.
Here we are.
Yelling at wide right, people who say wide right is, now I know you're just definitely feeling it right now because that's your problem is Gen Z people talking about wide right.
I've got 2 other reasons why this game bothered me besides obviously them losing. And they are the biggest loser energy things that I could possibly say, and I'm going to admit that to you. And I'm still going to say what they are, but before I even tell you what they are, I'm admitting that I'm being a loser about it. Got to do that next. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in. Will the Bills ever win? Throw that out. 2, who's coming with me on the coaching changes? We're going streaking. Who's coming with me on this one? Changes have to come. 855-212-4CBS. We say good morning to our CBS Sports Radio affiliates, of course, across the country, who we adore. The free-to-download, absolutely crystal clear Odyssey app, SiriusXM channel 158, and you can hit us in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Did we underestimate the Chiefs? We'll get to the winner's side of this in moments and what they're facing against Baltimore. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll also talk about the 49ers. Now that was a Houdini act. 855-212-4CBS, Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you listen to every Westwood One broadcast the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. I was just asking in the break, who is more certain to miss that last key field goal? Tyler Bass on the Bills or Anders Carlson on the Packers? Because both felt a little shaky walking into that.
Well, I mean, considering Tyler Bass gets paid more than most of the guys who were starting on defense last night, kind of need him to hit that one.
Yeah.
But listen, you put your fate in your own hands when you got wind like that. On the other side, you got Harrison Buckers, like one of the great bad weather kickers.
Well, the wind was at his back, though, wasn't it, for that kick?
Yes, but, I mean, it was so off target. I mean, that was wide right. That was like generous. That was like almost out of the stadium. He kicked that basically to Canada.
Yeah, I still think also you were probably quite nervous, super Bills fan Maggie Gray, that Mahomes was going to get the ball back. Either way, that drive didn't end quite the way I think we wanted it to.
You think? Thank you for pointing that out, Mr. X's and O's. No, it didn't end the way that I thought it was going to go. I thought they were a 16-play drive. I thought that they would come up with something a little bit more of a sure thing than start with the explosives.
The more sure thing was Josh Allen throwing an interception or fumbling the ball, which he tried to do.
Yeah, he did try. Dan is in Rochester. We're taking your calls this morning at 855-212-4CBS. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, guys. First things first, Perloff, you're welcome. You were right. Houston lost to Baltimore. But the fault on this game is Josh Allen, all right? You know, that it should have even came down to Bass. He kept trying to, so he made the same mistakes in this game that he made in the Jets game week one. The difference was he didn't throw an interception, but he had Diggs streaking across on the underneath route, which would have got him the first down. Not to mention Kansas City's adjustment to stop him from running gave him the checkdowns to Cook and Kincaid the whole game damn near. So it's like y'all could have got that first down, but Josh, 3 straight shots to the end zone, basically.
Well, I wasn't sure if that was Josh or if that was the play calling. I think the fact that the run game just got completely bottled up by the adjustments that the Kansas City Chiefs made kind of threw them off a little bit. I mean, before they were bringing in extra offensive linemen, the Bills were, and running the ball, and they were running it with ease, and then that got completely snuffed out of the game.
I think Dan's right, though. I think Josh Allen gets uncomfortable in big moments taking the check down.
I mean, he took it all game.
You, Maggie.
What's up?
I got 2 for you.
Yeah.
First things first. Do you think the Bills should go and get Belichick, for one, because McDermott can't win it, obviously, and then 2, is it fair to say that the Buffalo Bills are the AFC version of the Dallas Cowboys who will always find a way to break your heart?
I mean, Dan, I'm already having a bad morning. You had to bring the Cowboys into this thing? Sheesh.
That's pretty. That sounds pretty solid right there. That comparison.
I consider Rochester like my second home.
I'd say the Bills are a little better in the playoffs than the Cowboys.
Yeah, they've at least been in the championship
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
They weren't touchdown favorite at home, losing to the 7th seed. I mean, they lost to Patrick Mahomes, for goodness gracious.
That being said, if you squint, you can see some similarities, Maggie.
I'm not going there. I do not think they're the Dallas Cowboys, but I'll give you, there are the similarities. They both have a lot of expectations. Allen's a better quarterback than Dak Prescott.
This year, the expectation was much more on the Cowboys. There is a sense that the Bills really shouldn't have been a strong favorite this year. They had to win 6 of their last 7 games.
Yeah, no, they were at 6
It was a great run, and
12 men on the field against the Denver Broncos.
You kept telling me about the injuries in the middle of the field, and that was the storyline to me. The Chiefs did whatever they wanted between the hashes because the linebackers getting guys off the couch, limping around. It just felt like Pacheco had his way.
Yeah, and listen, the Bills didn't score in the fourth quarter. Like, they just couldn't put it together. And maybe to Dan's point, is that Josh Allen's fault because he started to go for, they started to go for the kill shot when they should have just stayed with that methodical moving down the field? I mean, probably. And as far as a coaching change, you guys know I've been on Harbaugh. I said it before the playoffs started. I wanted Harbaugh no matter what the outcome was. And as far as Belichick, I mean, I'll talk myself into Belichick as long as he cannot have any say on the roster. Brandon Beane has done a fine job. What?
You want Josh McDaniels?
Because he's coming. I think that's the only reason Belichick hasn't been hired yet, because of his buddy Josh McDaniels has to come with him.
Josh McDaniels as an offensive coordinator is not Josh McDaniels the head coach. He's not. It's different. When Bill's there to oversee everything, I can't have Bill picking out the replacement for Stephon Diggs if that's what's going to happen. Like, I can't do that.
I take Ben Johnson over Bill Belichick in a second.
No, but I
give me some modern
somebody
offense.
who's never been a head coach with this kind of team that's been so close. You think I'm being short-sighted about that?
Well, I think the formula is you get a young coordinator who just takes off is a way to win a Super Bowl. I think it's about time you stop trying to eke out a championship out of this team and maybe start over in some ways. I know it's hard to do when you're this close, but aren't you in some kind of weird playoff limbo?
Yeah, but you're also not in a salary cap place where you can just really start over. Like, you're already in. You're in this far. It's taking step backs while you have the Dolphins coming on and the Jets with Aaron Rodgers next year. You can't do it.
Do you see the way the Lions were playing offense?
Yeah.
Did the Bills look like that? Not really. I mean, they were effective because Josh Allen was running the ball, but it didn't feel like there was a lot of easy stuff around.
Put the Bills in a dome then. So I really feel bad for people like Andrew Bogish's son, Jake, because he's 8.
No, he's 10.
Okay, he's 10. This is like where the foundational, like, heartbreak moments happen. And I've lived this, what your son is living right now. And I wish I could stop a speeding train coming down the tracks for his, like, little feelings, because he has no idea what he's in for. Maybe now he gets it a little bit.
Well, at least he has the Mets to balance things out with all their success.
Yeah.
He knows that at least baseball is easy.
All the success he's seen.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, he stayed up last night. I let him finish watching the game. He was next to me in bed, and I audibly gasped when that kick went immediately right.
It was like Gronkowski was kicking.
I mean, it was the right-hand turn. And, I mean, Nance couldn't have set it up any better, too. Like, they want him in this spot, and oops, never mind. And
wide and right, the two terms that the Bills are most afraid of, or whatever he said.
And then Jake kind of he faked a little extra emotion, but he was definitely bummed, and he just got out of bed, and he got out of my bed and went to his bed, and that was it.
And went to sleep.
Yeah.
So he remembers 13 seconds, and he'll remember this one.
He does remember 13 seconds.
So
yes.
he's building that outer armor that is going to be necessary to make your way through this life as a Bills fan.
But he's a 10-year-old non-Buffalo native. Can he just switch teams? Why'd you buy him a red sweatshirt and get him on that Mahomes bandwagon? What are you doing as a dad?
He also has a closet that contains a Lamar Jackson
jersey. Yeah, I was about to say, I know 10-year-olds.
All right, get this kid out of here.
Yeah.
No, that's fair game.
But he's got 3 Bills jerseys and a Bills hoodie and multiple Bills. I mean, he's as much of a Bills fan as he can be. He actually doesn't want to go to school today and deal with anybody giving him crap for the Bills
Wow.
losing.
Is that going to work?
No. Not
Yeah,
even
you can't let him do that. No,
Well,
you got to sit there. You
gotta
got to take
take
your
it.
punishment.
You got to take it, but I mean, it's particularly painful to have to take it from Giants and Jets fans who had, I would say, and how many playoff wins did you guys have this offseason?
How many playoff wins is the last 20 years? But speaking of which, me being bandwagon, I mean, I have a right to the Chiefs, though. We all agree on that, right?
No.
Andy Reid,
Absolutely not.
Jason Kelce.
No.
What are you talking? They're basically the Eagles West. There's no way you cannot let me root for the Kansas City Chiefs.
No, they beat your team in the Super Bowl. You cannot root for the team that beat you in the Super Bowl.
Your team is a loser.
Do not get me started on Jason Kelce. We'll get into that a little bit, but
Wait, Jason
I'm
Kelce,
disappointed in this, Maggie.
shirtless, large men drinking beer. You have a problem with that?
Jason Kelce, get out of here, you look at me loser. It's your brother's moment, and you could not let him just have it. You had to be there, making it all about you. You're in the parking lot taking shots with the Bills fans. Find your own tailgate, okay? The Bills fans were gracious to give you some of their alcohol. That was despicable. And then take your shirt off. Let your brother have the moment.
Travis Kelce has plenty of moments. He's a two-time Super Bowl winner dating Taylor Swift. He doesn't need a moment.
His moments. He's a Super Bowl champion too. He's about to walk into the Hall of Fame. Just let Taylor and Travis own the moment.
Oh, get out of here. Taylor doesn't need a moment.
No, this is such a window into what their life is probably really like. Can you imagine? Just like take away that it's Jason Kelce. Imagine that's going to be your brother-in-law, Taylor. That dude's making a speech at your wedding. Whether he has a shirt on or not, I have no clue. I thought Jason Kelce made this all about him last night. He better have been blackout drunk, because there's no excuse for that.
Well, A, he was, but B,
the only way I'll excuse it.
I think he's an awesome brother-in-law, and I want to be there for that wedding speech. Are you kidding me? It's going to be the only fun thing about the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce marriage is going to be Jason.
If I'm the mother, I'm heading for Palm Springs right now.
If you think Jason's annoying, what do you think of Taylor? I mean,
that whole suite.
That box was the worst.
Get him out.
Jason was probably the shining light of that box.
What the hell was Gerard Carmichael doing? No one has explained that yet. Just
I
a
don't know who that
random
guy is.
comedian.
Oh, he is so funny.
He's probably friends with Cara Delevingne or whatever her name is.
What the hell is she doing there?
I don't know. They're all a bunch of losers. Okay, Bogus is here.
Gerard Carmichael is the coolest. All those people are
all
awesome.
Carpetbaggers, all jump on the bandwagon clowns.
You guys are haters. Jason Kelce could run for president tomorrow. He is really like.
Oh yeah, we love the presidents in this country. We love politicians.
Yeah, he could not make the moment. He couldn't not let it be about someone besides him. It had to be him. It had to be about, I'm here, Mr. Fun Guy's here.
He wasn't taking attention away from MVS. He was taking it away from Travis Kelce. Who cares? Travis Kelce doesn't need more attention. Yeah. I'm sorry, Bogus.
No, let's do this. Maggie needs an intervention on this. This is a bad outflow of your emotions. You're better than this.
Going after Kelce. I mean,
the dude was carrying little girls up the stairs to meet Taylor Swift after the game.
I wouldn't let that guy, after how many drinks has he had? You're gonna let him carry your kid up a steep steps?
You're basically ripping the Mother Teresa of the sports world. He has 100% approval rating.
I'll rip him. Loser. I'll rip Donna. I'm gonna rip the whole freaking family.
I mean, if you're gonna rip Donna, then forget it. Then you've just lost touch with humanity because of the Bills. Did you see after the Super Bowl when Donna came up to Jason and said, "I love you," and he said, "I love you too, Mom. Go hang out with Trav." This family is perfect. And honestly, if I'm Taylor Swift, I'm lucky to be a Kelce.
If I'm the Ravens, they don't get a box.
Yeah, make them sit outside.
Bingo.
Very dangerous thing he did yesterday, jumping out of the box.
Yeah.
I don't know if Taylor Swift could sit outside.
What would happen? I have a question, guys. What would have happened if one of those guys, Bills fans, would have took a swing at Jason Kelce or would have done something physical to him? Would you guys be sitting here saying, "Oh, he's such a great guy"?
Right.
Oh my God! Yeah, I would have loved to see. Jason Kelce would have destroyed any Bills fan. That would have been odd. But that's Kelce's. Kelce's about love. I saw all he did was did selfies with other shirtless fat Bills fans.
He's Buffalo. He should live there.
Yeah,
he should run Buffalo.
Yeah, we see NFL fans fighting every weekend,
and it's not okay. Why would it be okay to punch Jason Kelce?
No, I'm not saying it would be. But I'm saying he put himself, as Pete said, in a dangerous situation. He put those fans in a dangerous situation, putting a person who's a celebrity jumping out of a window. I mean, what are we talking about?
I don't know what you guys are talking about. It was amazing.
Stay in the box. Keep your shirt on, please.
That did not seem like an odd transition for Jason Kelce to jump out of the box amongst a Bills fan, about 9 other guys who are exactly built like him, drinking beer with him and taking selfies.
Okay, but then, so for the people who are like, but you should never, anyone who's pearl clutching about throwing snowballs, then I don't want to hear this. Because you can't, if you're going to rip the fans for having bad behavior for throwing snowballs, for Jason Kelce, that's not good behavior. Like, everyone wants to say this is great. Oh my gosh, it's Kelce. You look like a deranged lumberjack out there. It was like freaking Santa Claus.
Guys, there was
yes and yes.
There was next to no danger involved with Jason Kelce yesterday. There was danger in throwing snowballs.
No,
those are not the same thing.
A 300-pound man jumping out of a window isn't dangerous. What are we talking about?
A window onto stairs. He didn't jump on other human beings.
Come on, bro. He could have tripped. He could have fell.
Okay,
he jumped out of a window.
Lightning could have struck.
That guy goes underneath 7 300-pound guys on the tush push. Jumping out a window against a bunch of fans is not dangerous. By the way,
apparently not against the Bucs.
But throwing snowballs, how the NFL allowed the Bills fans to throw snowballs at pass patterns again was shocking to me. That's amazing.
I mean, they did give about Kelce. I don't know what they were doing.
They did give about 5 calls to the Chiefs last night, which is pretty much expected. Sorry.
Your headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. Let's update the scoreboard this morning. The Pistons have won 4 NBA games total. The Lions now on 2 playoff wins in just 7 days. The first time they've won twice in the same postseason since 1957.
There's the knee, and that's it. Yes. Oh, Detroit. 2 teams will meet out in the middle of the field to say job well done. Job better done on this night by your NFC North champion Detroit Lions, who are going to the NFC Championship game, where they will see San Francisco next week with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line.
A place the franchise has never been. That was Dan Miller on Lions Radio. Now, what was odd about the final seconds of this 31-23 Detroit win was the Bucs never called their last time out, and the Lions knelt too quickly. So there was a scenario where Tampa could have had the ball again with maybe a play or two to tie the game. Here's Todd Bowles' explanation.
They already had a field goal and lined up, and there would have been about 12 seconds left on the clock to end the ball game. We weren't going to come back from that. No sense of prolonging the obvious.
The Todd Bowles we know.
Yikes.
Yeah, he was probably right, but the Lions were leaving too much time on the clock, and the field goal isn't 100% guaranteed, and it's just odd that a coach didn't call his last time out.
In the playoffs.
In the playoffs.
There was like a thing going on online that the graphic was wrong on Fox and that he actually didn't have the timeout. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. Turns out that was not the case.
Yeah. So, again, this game was tied at 17 through 3. Lions got 2 touchdowns. Bucs got 1 back, and then Derek Barnes picked off Baker Mayfield with 1:35 left. Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson might have celebrated by interviewing for the Falcons job last night. Texans OC Bobby Slowick definitely met with Atlanta yesterday. And the Eagles reportedly firing D coordinator Sean Desai, who lost his play calling power to Matt Patricia, who was also apparently leaving the team as well. The Bills lost to the Chiefs 27-24. NBA last night, Nikola Jokic, 42 points, 12 boards, 8 assists. In the Nuggets, 113-104 win in Washington. Guys, back to you.
Andrew Bogish, thank you so much. Coming up, are the Lions a team of destiny? We will dive into other games we saw yesterday and throughout the weekend, including San Francisco in an epic comeback win over the Green Bay Packers. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie, great Andrew Perloff dissecting what was, well, from my side of things, very painful loss, but there is no other type of playoff ending that the Bills can have besides pain and suffering.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting how you are putting blame all over the country and different people. Jason Kelce, the entire celebrity box of the Chiefs game, the fake punt. How come you're not saying anything bad about Josh Allen right now? Because I think a lot of people think he kind of screwed up the fourth quarter.
They are not even close to being a halfway contender without him. This is the deal that you make with having a guy like Josh Allen as your quarterback. Like, he didn't even throw an interception. I mean, almost fumbled the ball. That didn't end up happening. So he had no turnovers in the game. His legs are the greatest weapon that they have. And this is the guy. There's no even thought about getting rid of him. I would never want to. The Bills wandered the quarterback desert for most of my life, almost 20 years, basically. Like, this is the guy. And so you have to get the right coaching staff and find the right offensive identity that can turn him into a winner in the biggest moments.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if that's how the coach, he clearly had a couple wide open checkdowns when he tried to throw to the end zone late in the game. And he just did not take them.
Yeah.
I felt like the moment got a little big. That whole last drive, he got shaky as all get out.
They didn't score in the fourth quarter. So, yes, if you want to put some blame on Josh Allen, I just can't do it because here's the thing. You'll criticize Josh Allen for not taking the check down when they were on the 16th play, 16-play drive.
Yeah.
So, clearly he had taken the check downs. Like, he was taking exactly what the defense was giving him. That's all anyone's wanted him to. But
not in the last few plays.
Okay,
though.
but here's the thing. You'll say that Josh Allen is the reason why they lost the game because he didn't take the check down and went for the end zone. But at the same time, you'll tell me that if you give Patrick Mahomes the ball with 1:30 left, what do you think the outcome's going to be?
Well, that's why you had to take the check downs and then run into the end zone like you always do and win the game. I think they want that last minute back so badly.
Of course they do, but I think also... Yes, it was a couple bad play calls or bad execution, and that's why we're sitting here.
Ooh, I think the play calls were fine. He had Stephon Diggs, his number one receiver, running clearly for a first down on the 3rd and 9 where he tried to get in the end zone.
He had Diggs on a 60-yard bomb, and it went through Diggs' hands. Like, that's the thing. Yes, do you want those last couple plays back for sure, but...
Why all of a sudden you're taking deep? You've been running the ball down their throat the entire game, and all of a sudden you change styles in the fourth quarter.
Again,
I didn't quite get that.
I think that's a credit to Andy Reid. I think that's a credit to Steve Spagnuolo, and they're making adjustments, and they got the Bills off kilter.
I think pressure is a real thing in the fourth quarter of a playoff game. You saw it, Jordan Love crumbled for the Packers, and I think Josh Allen crumbled just a little bit there in the fourth quarter. Not the quite same thing. Obviously, the loss is not on him because he was awesome. That touchdown in the corner when he was scrambling and threw it against his body, unbelievable. But I do feel like there's a certain cool that is not necessarily there.
Yeah, because he hasn't done it yet. So, of course you can say that. But I would say the 13 seconds game, did anyone think that Josh Allen wasn't cool as in the clutch there? That had nothing to do with him and the offense. That was the defense. Like, Maggie, you're living in the past. All right, I'm looking at a team that was dead in the water midway through the season and found a way to change and turn themselves into basically a running team. It's kind of what Jalen Hurts and the Eagles did a couple of years ago.
Yep.
You became a running team, and I think, yes.
Then you stopped running at the end and you went back to the old Bills.
Because the defense bottled them up. James Cook was running into a wall, if not just getting tackled behind the line of scrimmage. And Josh Allen, they just couldn't get it to their guys. And then, yes, they went for a couple explosive plays. It didn't happen. They missed a field goal. Like, this is the anatomy of a loss like this.
You know why I'd keep McDermott, and I know you hate hearing this. Yeah. The fact that they fired Ken Dorsey and brought in Joe Brady in the second half, like, that formula was interesting. You have to admit, this run-first Josh Allen team, so you might not want to give up on that. Do you give McDermott any credit for the way they changed halfway through the season? They sort of rallied around that dude,
sure.
It felt like.
That's fine. And I'll be honest, most Bills fans really wanted Ken Dorsey when Brian Daboll got hired by the Giants. It was like, no, you get to keep Dorsey. He's the real, he's the real guy who's pulling the strings behind the scenes. And it turns out that obviously was just not true. But I think that you're hoping, if you want a coaching change, you're hoping the next guy comes in and sees something that we haven't seen yet with this offense. Sees something that can unlock Josh Allen in a new and different type of way. Because you've done it this way, you've done it the other way. Patrick Mahomes is still sitting there victorious at the end of the day. Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, still has an answer for all of your adjustments.
Yeah, I saw the game. You're right.
What?
No, I mean, you're everything you said is absolutely true, but there still feels like a but. I feel like you're letting Josh Allen totally off the hook.
Coming up, Brock Purdy and the 49ers. Was it a good comeback or sloppy?
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
First and 10, Green Bay. They have 2 timeouts left. Love out of the shotgun. Deep drop. Pressure. Gets chased out to his right. Will throw on the run back. Middle. It is intercepted. Go down, Dre Greenlaw. Running back the other way. Secure the ball. He'll run back the other way. They're trying to strip it from him. Big play, Dre. Goes down. Green Bay has 2 timeouts left, but the 49ers have the football.
How about that? Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It was the first time that a Kyle Shanahan team has trailed going into the fourth quarter by 5 points or more and actually won the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that was amazing. There's a lot to unpack here about the Packers, and we'll get into their offseason and Jordan Love's performance and all of that. But the 49ers were so lucky to win this game, Perloff.
What?
In the driving rain, Brock Purdy, his Achilles heel is clear. It is out there. It is front and center. This dude has trouble playing in the rain.
Yeah.
And it is ironic that that is the one weather element that you have to deal with playing in the Bay Area. I mean,
but Bay Area does actually not get a lot of rain. It's not something you would normally think about. Like, does anybody think it's going to, I don't know what the weather report is, but likely it's going to be fine for Sunday.
this Sunday coming up, it's likely to be fine. But we saw last year it rained against the Seahawks. They ended up winning that game in the divisional round, wild card round, pardon me. And we saw the game in Cleveland when it was a driving rain and Brock Purdy had trouble. And we saw on Saturday night.
But every quarterback has trouble in the driving rain.
Yeah, but Jordan Love really didn't have that kind of trouble. Now, Jordan
the fourth quarter, there were a couple throws that clearly came out of his hand wrong.
Well, and obviously the game-sealing interception that you just saw was one of the most ill-advised plays you could have. He did everything that a quarterback's not supposed to do, which is backwards, across the body, across the field. But Jordan Love, I thought, had a much better command of this game than Purdy did. I mean, Purdy, and listen, they won. They're moving on. They're going to face the Lions. We'll break down that game. I did not think that Purdy played well for 90% of this game. That was an adventure. He was throwing the ball at times where you didn't know who he was even targeting, let alone was there a receiver who was going to catch the ball. He was high. He was wide. Even for the receptions and some of the catches that his receivers had, it was contorted. There was nothing easy. It was off the shoelaces. There was nothing easy about that game for Purdy in the offense.
Because he was under pressure. He was throwing the ball away. He was avoiding sacks. Half of those throws, he was just about to get hit and just chucked it to the ground.
Oh, no.
There was one.
No. You're not going to let Brock Purdy off the hook like that. You have to acknowledge he didn't play well for most of the game. I'll acknowledge that he made 3 to 4 critical passes on that final drive, but you have to acknowledge that he was a liability for a lot of that game.
I would say, but all those incompletions, a lot of times it was 3rd and 10, and he was totally under pressure. He just kind of grounded it. He was not that bad. You're making it seem like, except for the interception that was dropped at the beginning of the game.
There were 2 interceptions that should have been.
But one really bad one that probably would have been a pick 6.
Yes.
After that, he totally settled down and took what was there. He was throwing a lot of balls away to avoid sacks. Because honestly, every NFL quarterback now is a master at avoiding sacks. Was anybody sacked all weekend long?
No.
I thought he was just playing ball control. And one more thing, too, about the Packers. The Packers had hit that field goal. That game had changed direction. The Niners were going to kill them in overtime. I felt like the Niners settled down finally and started playing like the Niners. I thought the direction of that game was headed San Francisco's way for sure. And I honestly, even if Green Bay had come up with, they were not going to come up with something on that final drive because the 49ers defense had finally showed up in the fourth quarter.
Okay, they did, but honestly, until Jordan Love threw that pick to seal the game, I thought the Packers were kind of driving there. I mean, they were only at their own 36, but they were starting to move the ball a little bit. I mean, they start first down, they go to Dobbs for 8 yards, then it was an incompletion, but then Musgrave, then he throws the deep interception, and it was on 1st and 10, and this is like young quarterbacks making bad mistakes. Listen, I'll give it to Purdy that on that final drive, he was good. The only missed throw was a drop by George Kittle. But watching that game, I was like, ooh, Purdy's a liability right now. He really was. And if there's not going to be any rain next week, and obviously if you go to the Super Bowl, it's going to be at the desert. So I think we're all
in a dome.
In a dome. Like it's not going to matter.
Don't make that mistake.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not going to matter. I get it, but this is the true 49er fan, you have to be a little uncomfortable after you saw that.
So Purdy was 23 for 39. So that's 16 incompletions. I swear at least 11 of them, he was just throwing the ball away.
You're being
252 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks in a driving rainstorm. And he had the key game-winning drive. It could have gone a lot worse for a Kyle Shanahan quarterback because I've seen it go a lot worse.
That's true.
This was not a great Brock Purdy game, obviously. The dude dropped back and had to wipe his hand in the middle of his drop back and throw the ball.
I know, that's a problem. Started the game with a glove, but Jordan Love didn't have any of that.
He did in the fourth quarter.
Okay, fourth quarter, you want to play in the rain, fine.
It was 3rd and 2, and he had Aaron Jones about 4 feet in front of him and airmailed it about 6 feet over his head because the ball came out funny in the rain. I think you cannot ignore the driving rainstorm. Just to have 252 yards and a touchdown is something in that conditions. If it's dry, now here's the much bigger problem to me is the injury to Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
When the second Deebo Samuel went out, Kyle Shanahan's 15-play script went out the window with him. They have no idea. They look totally lost. And then finally, McCaffrey kind of grounded them a little bit. But they're going to miss Deebo big time.
Yeah, the shoulder injury, we're not going to get an update probably until later in the week. Who knows, but Deebo was on the sideline in street clothes for the entire second half. Let's hear a little bit from Brock Purdy. Cut 6, please, Pete. Having to win by coming from behind.
I mean, I think it is important. Earlier this year we had games like Cleveland and Minnesota and Cincinnati at one point, you're down and you got to find a way. It's fourth quarter. It's the NFL. And then obviously we're in the postseason now, so we were all like, all right, this is it. This is our season. And so for us to capitalize like that was huge for all of us.
Yeah, credit to them. Those other games he referenced, the Cleveland game, the Minnesota game, those are games they lost. And this is a game they did win. And, Jordan Love, people say, the throws he's making, he looks a lot like, he gets like the Mahomes comparison or like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
To me, he's more Favre. I mean.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Couldn't you see him going more the Favre trajectory than the Rodgers trajectory?
I feel like.
Rodgers never turned the ball over.
It's just the way that he throws off his back foot like Rodgers does. He looks like Rodgers style-wise. The two of them are clones to me. I can't kill Jordan Love. Again, you're going against San Francisco at San Francisco in the rain.
No, I'm not killing him either. I'm just
thrilled about Jordan Love.
I thought Jordan Love was the better quarterback. He definitely was. And here's the thing about the Brock Purdy yardage. Like you want to say he's got 252 yards. Again, you can't ever look at his yardage and say that's the yak stuff too. This is not the explosive plays. Like, first of all, it was raining, even though Love was finding a way to make some explosive plays. But that's not his game,
Well, regardless, it actually doesn't matter who the better quarterback was, who's the better team, because the Niners are not designed to be. You're not going to have their quarterback win the game. Look at all the talent around them. So the question is Brock Purdy good enough to win with this team? Not is he better than Jordan Love? Obviously, Jordan Love is a more talented quarterback.
Yeah.
But Brock Purdy. Is he the right quarterback for this team? Can he get this team where it wants to go? And I wouldn't count them out yet. This is a good matchup with Detroit.
We'll get to the Detroit matchup. I mean, they came within an eye last year of getting upset. I mean, you could say this is a character win or showed you can play and come from behind. I mean, there's a less generous read on this, which is this was a questionable clock management game from Kyle Shanahan, especially at the end of the first half. And this was an escape where you should be thanking your lucky stars that you got out of here because Green Bay really did bring it to you.
Yeah,
now,
but
Green Bay had a couple weird clock management things too.
When you look at it that way, though, you know how the playoffs work. Baltimore handled Houston and San Francisco escaped, but you know that means nothing heading into the next round. The next round will have a completely different complexion. So if it's a dry game and Deebo plays, I think the Niners will be fine. But if Deebo's out, then all bets are off.
Let's hear from Kyle Shanahan. Says Brock missed some plays, but he did lead them down the stretch for the win.
Brock, he made some big plays in this game, missed a couple, but leading us down on that last drive and getting the win, that's all you can ask for.
You and I had a big debate on Friday about if things went off the rails for the 49ers, would Kyle Shanahan be tempted to look elsewhere for a quarterback this offseason, right? And that kept playing in my mind as the Green Bay Packers were going haymaker for haymaker with the 49ers in this game.
Yeah, I would. I mean, listen, I think you're totally underestimating the rain. I think it's insane to judge Brock Purdy off that game. And the fact that he won the game, this is Kyle Shanahan, he loses that game every single time. I think Brock Purdy did what he needed to do. Honestly, judge him next week on the dry weather against Detroit, a defense who really can't stop any quarterback. That's where I think I really want to get into it.
Okay, but this is also comes back to like a crucial Maggie and Perloff debate from earlier this season, which is if you have a quarterback who can't play in the elements, at some point, that is going to be a problem for you. At some point, that's going to be an issue. And it may not be next week, and it may not be for the Super Bowl if the 49ers advance that far. But you having a quarterback who can't play in the rain is going to be a problem because it's football, and you have to play outside.
Played well enough to have that game-winning drive and hit a bunch of passes at the end. This is Brock Purdy. Yes, he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Patrick Mahomes. I understand this. But to move on from that, where San Francisco is, would be nuts to me. Honestly, San Francisco's problems were stopping the run. That's what I'm concerned about, too, because you're going against Detroit. And then if you beat them, you're going against Baltimore. If they can't stop the run, then there's this is San Francisco. What happened in the San Francisco defense? They were fearsome at one point. That was a unit that's worried me. It's not Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, first of all, the other thing, too, is, okay, this is going to sound like an insult, but he's thrown to George Kittle and Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. He doesn't need to be Superman. He just needs to put the ball out there. It's hard to do in the soaking rain, but just don't screw it up. That's all I'm asking for Brock Purdy. He's not going to go out there and win you the game. Hand the ball to McCaffrey. Don't throw interceptions, and he did that in the second half.
Speaking of the 49ers defense, you're right. There were times where I was surprised by this. Like, I think Chase Young is a great player. I know he got traded mid-season, and Washington Commanders rebuild, but he was getting blocked by wide receivers.
Yeah, I don't know why you would think he's a great player. He never caused any problems for the Eagles.
That was an issue for sure. And not just that, but you have the Ambry Thomas, whatever, the third quarterback who had the 2 big pass interference penalties. So listen, you've got some issues on defense.
Yeah, I mean, Fred Warner was holding that unit up he was awesome first half. I can't wait to see Fred Warner against Sam Laporta. That's going to be so interesting. You're right. I don't know what happened to that unit because wasn't that the strength? Remember when they beat the Cowboys? They looked like a nickname worthy defense, and they don't now. Again, this is part of me defending Brock Purdy. It wasn't in a normal circumstance. I think San Francisco's defense would be better, and Purdy would have been just fine. It did look a little vulnerable, but I don't think they escaped. They were winning that game. I mean, even if we hit that field goal, if that game go to overtime, you really think that Green Bay was doing anything?
Yes, Green Bay was in that game. I just don't understand why on the other side of the 2-minute warning, why LaFleur didn't start using his timeouts to try to give his team a little bit more time. Okay, I get it. You're on the positive side of the 2-minute warning. I'm sure there's probably, I'm just assuming the coaches have done the work there that tells you just let it go down to the 2-minute warning.
Well,
both guys had all 3 timeouts, and then you let 40 seconds bleed off the clock.
Well, you had a minute 7 to get into field goal range. That
you could have had
should be fine.
You could have had a minute 30 something.
Well, but you'd have one less timeout. Honestly, Jordan Love panicked on that last
play. He threw an interception on first down.
They had plenty of time. All they needed was 25 yards at a minute 7. I understand what you're saying. You could have used it there. Probably a mistake, but that's not what cost them the game because they had plenty of time on that last drive.
No, they did, but obviously, you got your kicker who was shaky and who missed a field goal, so you're probably we got to get as close as humanly possible, and the elements were definitely an issue for the kicking game.
I think that was in their head. I think that was in Jordan Love's head. He's like, I got to win this on my own.
I'm going to be honest. I wonder if there's Packer fans out there today who are thinking this, and if so, we'd love to hear from you at 855-212-4CBS. The moment that the Green Bay season seems like it's going in a way where, wow, we might really have a shot here to make the playoffs, and we see what we have with Jordan Love. Don't you have to replace your kicker? I mean, this dude, I get it. He's a rookie, but he missed more kicks than any other kicker in the NFL this year. You were always an adventure with this kicking game, and once the season starts getting more and more serious, don't you have to think about replacing that guy?
Kind of easy to say now, yes.
I mean, this is don't you owe that to your team?
I think some of this is trying to justify wasting a draft pick on this guy. He was he got it drafted. I know it's the 6th round, But, you know how these GMs are. Like, they don't want to make it look like they made a mistake in the draft, especially with a kicker. So when we ask why is a guy who wasn't even that great in college still kicking the NFL, even though he's missed all these kicks, I think that's a big reason why.
Then that's hubris and ego.
I think it's because his brother is cash money. Daniel Carlson on the Raiders, he's the best player on the Raiders. He's the reason Antonio Pierce got a job, so I think they thought it was hereditary.
I mean, come on. That's insane. Like, you can't actually run an organization like that.
Give Jackson Mahomes a tryout at QB.
Yeah, right. No thanks.
Well, kickers,
you let in the stadium.
Yeah, it is really ironic that all the great football this weekend, we had two kickers kind of blew it for their teams. But I think Anders Carlson hits that. The Niners come right down and they go to overtime. All the momentum was on San Francisco's side. I'm not sure it mattered.
Matt LaFleur, the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, said of his kicker, when he goes out there, I just pray. That can't be a strategy. Like, you've got a team that pulled off an all-time upset against the Cowboys and was playing neck and neck with the 49ers. I mean, you had them on the road with a lead in the fourth quarter. You knew he was a liability. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Gary is in Oregon, wants to weigh in on the Packers side of things. Hey, Gary, what's up?
Hey, good morning. So, the Packers should have won that game.
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like they, in the first half, they left points on when they went for that 4th and 1 with a QB sneak with Jordan Love. Instead, they could have just got 3 points. And then kicker missing, and then, Jordan Love, he panicked on that last play, throwing that pick. He was not thinking. But I feel like the Packers should have won that game. And this Packers team, they're going to be really good for years to come, I believe.
Gary, you and everyone else really excited, and thank you for the phone call, about what the Packers have in store for us in the future. Here is Jordan Love on that game-sealing interception. He called it a mortal sin.
Looking back on it, throw it away. I don't know if I had an opportunity to be able to run, maybe get out of bounds, but, force it across the middle late, which is a mortal sin, and, it cost us.
Yeah. 855-212-4CBS, the Packers side of things, you're welcome to weigh in on as we have their postmortem. And then for the 49ers, are you more or less convinced about Brock Purdy after that game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's neutral because how do you know what he's going to be like in dry weather against Detroit? You tell me that was the real Brock Purdy. Still, the fact that he had 252 yards and 1 touchdown and no picks, I'm amazed that he did all that because he looked so uncomfortable.
I'm telling you, it was a good final drive.
Yeah, he made some
good final drive.
Big time throws.
It was not a good game for Brock Purdy.
No, it's definitely. I mean, do you think Brock Purdy thought he had a good game? I think everyone there in San Francisco is like, wow, I can't believe we got that much out of Brock Purdy in a driving rainstorm.
The guy's going to come in second in MVP. What do you mean got that much?
Yeah, I mean, you look at even Jordan Love had a great game, but his numbers were nothing. I don't even think Jordan Love got to 200 yards and made in the last 4 drives of the Packers were nothing.
Let's go to New Orleans where the Big Easy is on the line.
Hey, what's going on, Maggie and Perloff?
How you doing?
What's up?
I got 2 things real quick. Eminem and Taylor Swift, boxes next to each other, celebrities coming out of the wazoo. It would be wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Something Perloff can connect to because he likes celebrities. One other thing I got for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as good as Bradley Cooper being in the stands, but I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Maggie, one thing. I missed the first 18 minutes of the show this morning.
Wow.
Did you mention anything at all about the fake punt? Because I felt like that was a huge mistake. But then now that I've had time to think about it, you guys wasn't stopping nothing, just like the other side wasn't stopping nothing on the defensive side of the. Was it a good decision now that you've had time to think about it?
Big Easy, let me answer. Since you missed first 18 shows, Maggie loved that call.
No.
She was like, she said that is the greatest call. I'm so glad they tried the fake punt.
No, I don't know if I'll ever recover from that fake punt, Big Easy. Thank you so much for weighing in. If you missed the first 18 minutes of the show, that was when I basically disintegrated down into a puddle and then somehow had to pick myself back up to the floor. First of all, if you are actually going to go with that fake punt, and again, how dare you put national hero Damar Hamlin in that bad spot and make him look bad.
He might have put himself in that spot, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, McDermott took the blame for it. If you're actually going to call that fake punt, I'd rather you just call timeout and put Josh Allen back on the field. Don't go down with this. Like, the Bills aren't a fake punt team. They don't do trick plays. Like, this isn't in their DNA. They don't do stuff like this.
They're not the Lions who fake punt all the time.
Yeah, and the eligible receiver with the offensive line, and, you know, how the Kansas City Chiefs are always pirouetting and, like, spinning around and doing weird things. The Bills play it pretty straight, especially since the offensive coordinator switch.
Real test, though. If they had made that fake punt.
There's no shot they were making that fake punt.
If they had made that fake punt, would you be ripping the call?
Well, no, but here's the thing.
You might have.
Yeah, I'll rip it in two ways. One, going for that in that moment when you still had plenty of time left, right? You still had a lot of ball game. It should not have been that desperate. And then the second thing I'll rip about it is, even if the Kansas City Chiefs had 10 men on the field, which is allegedly what triggered this, fake punt, how were they lined up? What angle did you have to get 5 yards running on the ground with Damar Hamlin?
Well, I don't understand why there were 10 Chiefs on the field. They were players short. It felt like they had 15 guys on that run. I don't understand how the play, nothing opened up.
I know. 855-212-4CBS. So, no, even with a little benefit of a couple hours of sleep, no, I don't think that was a good idea. 855-212-4227. We see you guys on the phones. I want to talk about Brock Purdy's performance from Saturday night and the 49ers now facing the Detroit Lions. Are they a team of destiny? Detroit, that is. We get all of that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Go. Purdy under center. Juszczyk offset left. Coming in motion, Warner. Next to Kittle, tight right. Juszczyk goes right. Purdy takes it, hands off to McCaffrey off the left side. Breaks a tackle. Touchdown! San Francisco!
That was the last touchdown, right, Pete?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think the Packers let them score that touchdown so they could get the ball back with time on the clock? I was wondering about that because that looked awful easy. I know Kenny Clark on the Packers fell down.
Yeah.
I think they did an Olay to let San Francisco score so they could get them, at least subconsciously, to get the ball back. Because then they had a minute 7 with a chance to come down and at least tie the game. They did not. I think the rain was also coming down. There were 2 plays that defined that game. When McCaffrey broke that tackle earlier and went for that long touchdown, that was a heartbreaker for Green Bay. That's when, I don't think the Packers lost at the end. I thought they lost it a little bit earlier, and the fourth quarter was all about the Niners.
That long drive was a 12-play drive that Purdy took them on to score.
And also, Jordan Love had a 3rd and 2 and easily could have run for the first down, but tried to throw it in the driving rain, and he had no chance.
I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
At that point in the game, Jordan Love, he gets the ball back with like a minute 7 or what was it to try to go down and lead them at least to a game-tying field goal, even though their kicker was the shakiest kicker all season long. But like at that moment of the game, it had been Jordan Love, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I was so all in on Jordan Love at that moment. I was like, they're doing it. They're doing it. And then they did.
But the fourth quarter, it was punt, interception, punt. It was not looking nearly as good as it's in. The first half, it looked easy. I think I would have handed the ball to Aaron Jones all night long. That guy is amazing.
Unbelievable. Let's go to Sam. He's in Oakland. He was at the game on Saturday night. Hey, Sam, how you doing?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it. Give us the boots on the ground perspective. What'd you see?
Well, as you get an inch of rain or an inch and a half of rain in one quarter, it is going to be hard to grip the football. But I think the anti-Brock Purdy narrative just in the media is so strong. And the kid's very special. 7th-round pick, all that, hullabaloo or whatever. But if you boil it down, was Jordan Love clutch? No. Was Brock Purdy? Yes. That's all I have to say.
Hey, Sam, how bad was the rain?
Well, they call them, when I grew up, they called them storms. Now they're called atmospheric rivers or whatever. But it was coming down pretty good. And it definitely was coming down more for Jordan Love on his last drive than it was for Brock. But one key play that is definitely underrated. Chris Conley runs a 7 route, and Brock Purdy hits him about 20 yards downfield.
Yep.
Chris Conley dropped that ball in another game where Debo was out, caught that one. That was a huge play.
That was amazing. And Brock was great on that final play, Sam. And to me, this is not – I think the media, if we're going to just like mainstream media, this whole thing, if we're going to give the mainstream media, I think more people are way on Brock Purdy than off of Brock Purdy. No. The reason why I'm not trying to be negative about Purdy. I just think that it's clear that there are other players on the offense that would deserve the MVP over Brock Purdy. And if you say that, you're being a hater. And that's what I disagree with. Like saying that Christian McCaffrey or even Debo Samuel or even Trent Williams is also responsible for the success of this offense, all of a sudden you're a Purdy hater. And that's what I disagree with. Like, you can give credit to the other guys on the team.
It might be a straw man thing, but I'm seeing a lot of takes like, oh, what can Brock Purdy do to convince all the haters? I don't know if there really are that many haters.
I think people love his story.
Yeah, but it's funny. I think people are having trouble believing that a 5'11" nothing guy with not a big arm who is Mr. Irrelevant. I still think the draft thing is in their head. I think he's going to need to do a lot to get over that. That's just my opinion on Brock Purdy.
Okay.
I think he's a lot better than he should not have been Mr. Irrelevant. Should have at least been a 4th round pick.
Okay, well, we'd still be calling this like an underdog story.
I was kind of kidding about it.
Okay, I'm like, geez, 4th rounder doesn't really make a difference. But even we got reporting on Friday that came out after the show was over from ESPN that Brock Purdy himself said Kyle Shanahan went to him after last season and said, you'll be our starter if Tom Brady won't come.
Yeah, but the guy's elbow was dangling off the side. Like he couldn't even grip a football until August.
I get it, but I'm just saying it was people who are saying like, oh, a Purdy hater, Kyle Shanahan believing in Purdy. Kyle Shanahan was actively trying to recruit Tom Brady to come and take over. 45-year-old Tom Brady. So this love affair, while it might be strong now, let's just not paint a picture that's not true. They were trying to get Tom Brady to come and replace Brock Purdy this season.
Replace Brock Purdy. They had no idea if Brock Purdy was even going to be in the league week 1. It's actually quite a miracle that he played all season.
Yeah,
I actually don't even physically understand it. When we talked to him last year at the Super Bowl, he couldn't even shake our hands. So I think the Brady thing was a 1 year, wait till Purdy's healthy. You don't think there's a love affair right now with Kyle Shanahan? The fact that Purdy won that game, that Shanahan always loses.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan didn't win that game. So I think that's still strong. That being said, man, this Lions-Niners game, forget anything that happened. This is going to be an incredible battle of running games. Whoever can run that game, if Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery can control the game, then it's not even going to be up to Purdy.
855-2124-CBS, 855-212-4227. Andrew Bogusch is here with some headlines. Yo.
Guys, good morning. I need some help figuring something out.
Baby, was it over when she laid down on your couch? Was it over when he unbuttoned my blouse?
Or was it over when Tyler Bass did this?
Placement down. Bass's kick is up, and the kick is no good! A little prophecy! Tyler Bass has struggled, and he just misses the kick.
I don't think I've had a poll yet today, but it wasn't over when she laid down on your couch, he unbuttoned my blouse, or Tyler Bass missed the field goal.
She's going to change the lyrics for the Asian tour. Yeah.
It'll be over next week.
I saw a tweet last night that said, wide right, Tyler's version.
Ooh.
I was a little slow on that.
Yeah, we heard.
That was pretty good.
The highlight, Mitch Holtis.
Man, now I see this is the part about when you get involved with sports is now all of Taylor's songs are going to be like tainted for me. And that is a shame because usually an artist has to do something a little bit more egregious for you to stop like listening to their music. Like, don't really love listening to like Chris Brown and like people who, have these really high profile mistakes that they've made and bad behavior.
Like Kanye, you mean? Like,
yeah,
my daughter struggles with that.
Yeah, R. Kelly. Yeah. Like Taylor, just by virtue of her now dating Kelce and being this massive, annoying Chiefs fan, now her music is ruined.
And it's unavoidable. Anywhere you go, Taylor Swift music plays all the time. Yeah. So this is going to be the rest of your life.
Ridiculous. Someone put out a new song, please.
Someone, anyone.
He's like, Doja Cat, anybody?
Dua Lipa, give me like 3 more songs, please.
Pete, here's the thing. There are a lot of new songs because you haven't listened to anything post 1994.
No, I do.
So
I
come
keep
on.
up with everything.
Billy Joel put out an album in
That's right.
97.
That's right. He had that classical album, too, that everyone hated.
The missed field goal, wide right. KC got 1 first down after it put the game away, 27-24 over the Bills. Third time in 4 years they kicked Buffalo out of the postseason. Josh Allen said the offense should not have left Bass in that situation, and Sean McDermott wishes the Chiefs hadn't scored 27 points.
Overall, we didn't do enough defensively to impact the game more than we could have.
The Chiefs in their 6th consecutive AFC title game. This will be the first one on the road Sunday afternoon in Baltimore. Then it's Lions, Niners in Santa Clara for the NFC title, thanks to Detroit's 31-23 escape at home against the Bucs. Baker Mayfield's 2nd INT of the day finally removed doubt for Detroit, who is 1 win away from its first Super Bowl appearance. Jared Goff doing it again, 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks. The Bears are close to hiring Seahawks OC Shane Waldron for that same position. The Eagles have reportedly parted ways with defensive coordinator Sean Desai, and the Falcons interviewed Texans OC Bobby Slowick for their head coaching job yesterday.
Do you think it matters that they didn't score any points on the offense for Bobby Slowick? I mean, the Texans are a great story. I'm very, CJ Stroud, great, but they didn't score an offensive touchdown.
No, nobody loves a 1-yard run more on first down than Bobby Slowick. I think Slowick hurt himself a bunch of different games. He's so unaggressive on first down. You have this great quarterback. Let him fling it around the field. I do not want Bobby Slowick. He's the one coach who I'm not interested in.
But what's going on in Atlanta? Because Belichick gets a second interview. Apparently, Harbaugh's getting a second one. They keep racking up all of these OC guys. They're doing nothing for the first few days of the cycle. And is Belichick the guy? Is he not the guy? What's going on there?
If you fly the guy private to Atlanta and you interview him on your yacht in the Virgin Islands, he's got to be your guy.
Who do you do that for, Belichick or Harbaugh?
Both. Belichick, those are the stories. They flew. The first interview was on a Arthur Blank yacht in the Virgin Islands.
Just him and Blank.
Yes. And then the second one was he flew on Blank's private jet to Atlanta. He's got to be your guy. I don't know
where he stopped at Chick-fil-A in the suit?
That was awesome. Well, there's Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk had a report that Belichick might have a problem with the structure where he doesn't report straight to the owner. He reports to CEO Rich McKay.
Right.
So the issue with Belichick is you're not just getting a coach. You might be getting a guy who wants to run the whole show.
I also think that that Belichick is going to wait some of these games out, too, because, look, the Bills, that could be something that pops up. I think he's waiting it out, too.
So these other interviews are the Falcons having backup plans?
Yes, they
in
have
case
to.
they don't get them.
They have to. With those two guys, you have to. They're in demand. You have to have your backup plan.
I don't know. Or Belichick's in demand, you think?
I think so.
I mean, Florio said that, too, that there are teams that have a coach. At least one team with a coach that is thinking about him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Buffalo. I just think Sean McDermott has so much power in that organization. He was hired before the general manager, the owner. I don't know. He hasn't spoken to the media in 4 years. So I think it's disrespectful kind of to Belichick if you bring him in for the second interview and you don't close the deal. Like what? It's Bill Belichick. Like if you're going to interview him twice, or Harbaugh for that matter, like. Unless it's Belichick saying, I can't do this, it should not be, the Falcons have cold feet here after 2 interviews. Dude's won 6 Super Bowls. Tom Brady wasn't responsible for every single one of them. Let's give the guy credit.
Well, yeah, but what if he comes in there and says, I want to pick the players? There's a lot of recent history to show this is not a great formula, especially a team like Atlanta, who has to build something. I'm not sure if Belichick says, I have to be the GM, then I'm doing a second interview with somebody else because I wouldn't do that now.
I agree with you. I wouldn't bring him in for the second interview if that's what he's saying. Don't you get that out of the way in the first interview?
Well, maybe they're trying to find a gray area where Belichick gets a level of control he's comfortable with and Atlanta gets a level of control they're comfortable with. That doesn't sound good. I mean, it reminds me of the same problem with Harbaugh. Harbaugh's going to come into any building. You know he's the coach in this cycle, but he's going to say, give me everything. And you know how these guys are. Owners and GMs don't want to give it up.
And that takes time, too, to negotiate. That really takes time.
If I'm Arthur Blank, that's a lot of money to be spent to still haven't figured out what the McKay-Belichick relationship is like. I feel like that could have been handled out over lobster on the yacht. right? Like, are we in second, third interview?
Wait,
now?
you're worried about the cost of the private flight?
I mean, Noah, I don't think any other coach is going on the yacht. And
Even if
you have a problem with Rich McKay? Come on. Belichick.
That's where NFL owners do their business. Remember that whole Tom Brady walked up to the yacht to meet Brian Flores?
Well,
That's
Dan
their
Snyder
office.
was like floating in the Mediterranean while he was losing the Commanders.
Well, that's because he needed to be in international waters to evade the police.
Jeffrey Lurie couldn't meet with Nick Sirianni because he was spending 2 extra days in St. Martin the other day. These owners are not like us. It's not like, of course that's where he is.
Look, if I'm serving you on a yacht, you're going to have to deal with Rich McKay, okay? That should be the least of your problems. Like, what are we doing here, Bill Belichick? Come on.
I don't know exactly the structure. All I know is anytime any rule comes up, Rich McKay is the face of the NFL and has been forever. He's a powerful dude, EJ.
I mean, I get that, but I just don't know at this point. And I know, look, the Falcons haven't been the best run organization, but how do you get this far into it and we're still questioning whether or not Belichick and McKay can work together? Like, this is something that feels like it should have figured out already, and clearly it hasn't, because if this is what's holding it up, and we're interviewing Brian Callahan for a second interview. I mean, you talk about putting those two guys in lineup, Bill Belichick and Brian Callahan. I mean, what are we doing here?
Also, they might be waiting for Ben Johnson.
I like Ben Johnson a lot, but again, I agree with Maggie. It does feel a little disrespectful to Bill Belichick, and I hate to say that as a Jet fan, but I mean, the guy is, 6 Super Bowls?
You're Atlanta. You're already worried about the respect of Bill Belichick. You have to build a champion here. You can't. If you're going to worry about Bill Belichick's feelings, then that's not a great template for success.
I would say the other part is while you're messing around on the yacht with Belichick, Harbaugh could be getting away. I mean, he, to me, is like you have a quarterback situation where you need one. Harbaugh is the only person I want coaching that guy out of the coaches in this cycle.
It is interesting, though. Jim Harbaugh he's on here. He's doing great. But how is he going to coach 9 teams? Because there are at least 9 to 14 teams, including my Philadelphia Eagles, your Buffalo Bills, the Michigan Wolverines, the Dallas Cowboys. Go on and on the list.
Falcons.
The Chargers, the Falcons.
He's a talented guy. Bogus, what else do we have?
Women's college hoops yesterday. Caitlin Clark and Iowa saw their 15-game win streak end in OT at Ohio State. And then Clark didn't see a fan storming the court as she tried to leave it. The collision left Clark on the ground for a few moments.
Basically blindsided and, kind of scary. Could have caused a pretty serious injury to me and knocked the wind out of me. But luckily, my teammates kind of picked me up and got me off the court. So, this is what comes with the territory. I mean, I'm sure they tried their best to do whatever they could. Obviously, it didn't work, and that's disappointing.
Her head coach, Lisa Bluter, a little angrier post-game.
That just should not happen. It should not happen. Our players should be safe. They should be able to walk off the floor. That's very disappointing. I think Ohio State, great team, great environment, but obviously very disappointed with the post-game, with our players getting injured trying to walk out of the gym.
And I think fans were also taunting Clark and Hawkeye players as well as they were leaving. And the videos, if you haven't seen it, grainy video, a couple of different angles of it, it's a pretty legit collision.
Okay, can I ask a question about this? First of all, it's like this feels like a catch-22. You want people to be able to storm the court.
Yeah.
It's one of the great things about college sports. But at the same time, you do need people to be safe and be able to exit. And this was a total blindside. Was it a man or a woman who hit her?
I couldn't tell.
I can't tell.
Oh, I'm not sure.
It's a bigger person. Whoever it is has some like heft to him or her, and that's why it was. And neither one saw the other.
Yeah.
So there's no protecting. There's no preparing for the hit. They just collide, and Clark goes down.
But I feel like people are making a little bit more of this hit than it actually was. It could have been really bad, but it obviously was not.
It looked bad, though.
I mean, it wasn't.
She
and it
got
wasn't
right
on
back up.
purpose.
They just
no, she didn't get right back
No,
up.
they had to help her to the locker room.
Watch the hit in slow mo. You really think that was?
Her head kind of like whips
Oh,
backwards.
get it. See, you guys are making it seem like an NFL hit. It was nothing that bad.
Wow, they were going really fast, and that fan was running. And now the fan didn't do it on purpose. Like they just ran into each other.
Yeah.
Neither of them were looking at each other. But I always said, if you're gonna do court storms, one, they should be designated games before. So you should both teams should know, hey, if this team upsets you, there will be a court storming, and the court storming should happen after the players get off the court.
I know, but that takes some of the spontaneity out of the court.
You gotta keep it
Probably
safe.
get rid of it.
You don't want to get rid of it.
Enough of it. All right, we know you can do it. Enough. People are getting hurt now.
Pete, no more court storming?
Yeah, no more Jason Kelce. So that's the two things we've crossed off the list this
How about we cheer in
morning.
the stands like
Kelce had a couple.
adults? All right, come on.
Like adults? They're not adults.
Yeah, enough court storming. Enough.
Yeah. But it's definitely a woman.
Is it a woman?
Yeah.
I think it. I couldn't tell. She's wearing a vest.
I'm watching again and again. I don't want to use the word flop here, but I'm
It's
going.
not a flop.
Please don't.
I mean, that is
It's not.
Open your social media today. There are a lot of people who are slow mowing this. Did Caitlin Clark sell that one?
For what? A fine for Ohio State?
A technical.
Just out of habit. Everybody, she's a basketball player. You know how to go down. You got to get 2 shots out of that play.
I think that's probably about it, right, Bogus?
Oh, no, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, great. Caitlin Clark was flopping as she got blindsided by a fan that we don't know is a man or a woman. 855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones. Want to talk about what went on with the 49ers. Are you feeling more confident or less? Was this a great comeback win or is this a sloppy near loss? 2 sides and 2 ways to look at this. 855-212-4CBS. Maggie and Perloff. Don't move. is Maggie. Three against Patrick Mahomes in the postseason with the
1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Apparently there is optimism, the absolute latest, optimism for Deebo Samuel. According to Ian Rappaport, he avoided a fracture of his shoulder or anything. All the x-rays were negative. And so there is some quiet optimism that he'll be ready for the NFC Championship.
Yeah, he goes out of the game, and Kyle Shanahan's like, I have no idea what to do on offense for a little bit. And then he got it back. He's like, oh, yeah, I have Christian McCaffrey. I'm good.
Let's go to John. He's in San Diego, wants to talk about the Niners. Hey, John, what's up?
Hi, how you guys doing this morning?
We're doing excellent. How are you?
Good. I just want to chime in on the Niners defensive front. And under Robert Saleh, that was a top 5 defense. Bosa was Defensive Player of the Year under DeMeco Ryans last year. And they generated no sacks. You got millions of dollars on that defensive line. And I just want to put a little blame game on defense coordinator Steve Wilks. And props to Brock Purdy for leading that last drive and Chris Conley for that 17-yard grab at the end. Nobody even knew he was on the roster.
Yeah. John, you're right about that. And it was, Conley, Brock Purdy finding Juwan Jennings a couple different times.
Juwan Jennings is legit,
He's like Johnny on the spot for them.
He's a tough dude, too. When he blocks downfield, he just destroys you.
Yeah, and he looks huge.
I agree 100%. This is big time on Steve Wilks. What happened to this defense from last year? He's right. The players are still out there, and they just do not look like the same team at all.
Apparently going from the booth to the sideline only gets you so far. Gary is in Jacksonville. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, guys. Maggie, I was just checking on you, see how you're doing with your Bills and Josh Allen. You know, right before the field goal, he missed a crossing wide receiver, wide open, goes for the hero ball in the end zone that he always tries to play. And that's why he comes up short, Maggie, every postseason. You know, he tries to be Superman, and too often he's Clark Kent.
I know, but Gary, I can't blame Josh Allen today for this. First of all, he was taking all the checkdowns all game. They were mostly playing a pretty conservative style. And then that pass to the end zone, I mean, it's a good idea. It's a good throw. It's just Chris Jones happened to get backed up into Deion Dawkins.
The wide open guy, right, Andrew? The guy that you pick up 15 yards there.
No, I get it.
I've been watching the play all morning, Gary. You're right. First of all, the clock was an issue too. If you score there, you're not stopping Patrick Mahomes with 4 downs to play with on the next drive anyway.
I'd rather score. I'd rather score and take the lead.
It was not an easy play. I honestly, I think you could have just get close enough where Josh Allen can run over the defensive line.
Preach, Andrew, preach.
Maggie, you did tweet something. You said, my quarterback's tougher than your defensive lineman. Yeah. That is actually true. If you
that was on the touchdown.
Get close enough for Josh Allen to run over the defense, and you're going to win that game with 30 seconds left in a 4-point lead. That's what they needed.
Okay, but you have to credit the Chiefs' defense. They basically contained James Cook and Josh Allen for most of that fourth quarter. They did a great job. They stiffened their backs, and they were able to stop the run.
There were receivers running open underneath, Maggie, and you know it.
I can't put this one on Allen. 855-212-4CBS.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
Throw away.
3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Hands it off, runs hard, pushes. First down at his own 45-yard line. And a minute 28 to go. Gaining just enough to move the chains. And Mahomes is high-fiving everybody on the sideline. And Pacheco runs hard, Jersey tough, to get a first down.
And that was the end for my Buffalo Bills. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Another season ends in heartbreak for Buffalo at the hands of the Kansas City Chiefs. And there's a lot of blame that can get divvied out. And first of all, congrats to the Chiefs. Victor goes the spoils. You know, everyone can celebrate in the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift box, whatever. A lot of blame could go around right now for the Buffalo Bills, Perloff, but one place I refuse to put it is at the feet of Josh Allen. And I know that at the end of the game, there was a bomb to Stephon Diggs that was dropped. There was no place for the Bills to run the ball. They did go for some explosive plays at the end. That's not a bad play, Josh Allen going to the end zone. Now, did he have Diggs in a crossing route? Sure he did. But going for the end zone and going for the jugular, Chris Jones just got pressure on him. Like, that's not a bad decision in my mind. You cannot blame Josh Allen for what happened yesterday. He's the reason they get as far as they get.
I agree with that. The defense obviously struggled. It made Kansas City look like Kansas City from 3 years ago, which was a team I had not seen in forever. Can we talk about the Diggs drop for a second?
Sure.
Because I think I'm on an island here. Everyone's saying Stephon Diggs dropped the ball. I know a drop. Deontay Johnson drops balls that are wide open in his lap, the Steelers wide receiver. Jackie Smith dropped the ball in the Super Bowl famously for the Cowboys. Stephon Diggs had a guy at his feet. Basically, the ball hung up in the air, and right as he was about to go up for the ball, the Chiefs cornerback was draped all over him, hit him in the hip, and then fell. So Diggs had to jump up, contort his body to get the ball. It wasn't like he dropped a wide open pass. It was a 60-yard bomb in the air. I don't think this was the most egregious drop, and everyone's like acting like Diggs blew it.
Well, he's one of the guys responsible because the ball went through his hands. Yes, he wasn't all alone with one of these crazy egregious drops. There was a high degree of difficulty. You're also one of the highest paid receivers in the league. You're also somebody who wants the ball. You get the opportunity there. And yeah, of course you're going to have someone on you. You're Stephon Diggs. Now,
it was a pure 50-50 ball, and that means 50% of the time the guy's not going to come down with it. It was not a drop.
Okay, but for receivers, they kind of have two different... It was a drop, because if it hits you on the hands like that, it's a drop. But then the receiver also has the option to try to draw a flag as well. And he didn't try anything. He's going for the football. Obviously, he's not thinking about that in the moment. But there's like a bailout that happens for receivers where you can also try to get the flag, which would have been very tough in that instance to throw it. I get it. But Stephon Diggs is not the only person here who, deserves credit or blame, rather.
Yeah.
I mean, your kicker missing a 44-yarder, that's bad. You have drops earlier in the game. Sherfield is one of them. That's bad. And I think you have to actually credit Kansas City and their coaching staff for, in the fourth quarter, to hold the Bills scoreless. And they came up with a better game plan. Once the Bills couldn't run the ball, they got completely out of sorts. And listen, this final drive where they missed the field goal, it still was a 16-play drive that took 6 minutes and 40 seconds. They had these sustained drives going on, and they got a little impatient. One
fumble that should have been picked up by Kansas City and a subsequent fourth down conversion. It wasn't the cleanest, and also a dropped interception that the Chiefs had a great chance at. I think the Bills looked a little bit tight in that last fourth quarter. The other thing, too, is they were taking these shots. That long pass to Diggs, the other long pass to the guy that's not Shakur, the other receiver, what's his name? Sherfield. Why were they throwing those incompletions when they could have just been chipping down the field? Because I don't think Josh Allen was going to throw the pick. I think they could have run the ball on them, especially the way Josh Allen was running. They could have controlled the clock. And even if they had hit that field goal, I think Kansas City was coming down and scoring anyway. I don't know. I'm not blaming Josh Allen, but I do think the Bills got a little tight in a must-win situation in the fourth quarter.
Listen, that's why I'll advocate for a coaching change. And it's hard to say because you win 11 games and you get into the playoffs and, it's not like you're getting blown out here. These are instant classic games that feel like in the moment they could go either way. There's some games where you feel like, wow, how did this team pull this out? Or, boy, the wrong team won or lost. These are really in the balance games, which has made us such a great rivalry. But I think they've gone as far as they can go with Sean McDermott. I think they need a new voice. But credit to him for this was the epitome of no-name defense. I mean, they were so decimated on defense. And the fact that they only held the Chiefs, I guess, to a touchdown in the fourth quarter. And that was early in the fourth quarter. They forced them in the fumble, obviously, the Mecole Hardman fumble at the goal line and through the back of the end zone, which was a touchback. And then also then forcing the Chiefs to punt.
Yeah.
You say that if the Chiefs had gotten the ball, they would have come down and scored. You can say that. We don't know that.
Well, listen, all they have to do is stop the Chiefs who are not going to pass the ball. The Chiefs are going to run at the very end to kill out the clock. Isaiah Pacheco on the first run breaks about 6 tackles to get 8 yards. That, to me, spoke to the Bills were getting soft up the middle because of all those injuries. Kansas City, okay, yeah, they punted on that drive before, but they had the lead. They were getting conservative. I think that Kansas City had control of the fourth quarter of that game. And also the other thing, too, is Mahomes, if you give Mahomes 4 downs, there's just no way you're stopping him. I think the win probability was still 80% for the Chiefs.
Here's the thing. The Bills, on that final drive, again, where they missed the field goal, they go for everything to Diggs on the first play, the 60-yarder, and he drops it. They rebounded very nicely from that. They went Dalton Kincaid for 7 yards. Then they go to Dawson Knox for 4. Then they go back to Kincaid for 8. Then they go Josh Allen running for 4. Like, they got back to the things they were doing. It was just on the inside of the 2-minute warning where they got, I think, just antsy. I don't know. They got impatient. I still don't think it was a bad play to try to go for the end zone. Go for the score. Here is Sean McDermott. He understands the defense and the special teams just weren't good.
Obviously came up on the short end tonight. Give the Chiefs credit. And didn't play the way we needed to, I thought, in 2 of the 3 phases, defensively first and special teams. And I thought offensively did some really good things, some plays still left out there.
Yeah, I mean, they were just totally decimated. Again, anytime the Chiefs did anything except for hand the ball off to Pacheco or try to find Travis Kelce, I was like, what are you doing? Why? You're just giving away downs at this point, because those 2 guys, considering the Bills' defensive injuries, were unstoppable.
And Mahomes had a nice little nifty run, too.
They had great field position the entire game. It felt like the Chiefs' offense was always starting at like the 35 or the 40.
Yeah, it's weird. I thought Kansas City was down this year. What was that team? Where did this team come from? Because they looked really good against Miami last week.
Yep.
So explain to me how they can only score 9 points or 7 points against the Raiders and teams like that. And the Broncos, what is happening? On the Kansas City side, I am definitely worried about those wide receivers. If it's a close game, because say Baltimore and Kansas City is really close, the spread is close. Is there any doubt that one of these knucklehead Kansas City wide receivers is going to make a game-costing mistake?
Think of it, Tony wasn't even active.
I know.
Kadarius Toney, they didn't even want anywhere near the field.
I'm sorry about that, because if Tony was out there, the Bills win by 10. But Hardman is Tony light. I think you can't play him.
MVS came up with 1 big catch.
I mean, honestly, if you're Andy Reid, you're looking down your wide receiver depth chart. It's like, who is not going to 100% cost me this game? And there's not a lot of bodies left.
Well, Rashee Rice is
He's
great,
awesome.
but at one point at the end, he limped off the field.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? The Bills-Chiefs game comes down to Dalton Kincaid versus Rashee Rice.
Just as we all drew it up.
Yeah, 2 rookies are the only most dependable receivers on the field.
To me, the 3-point spread now turning to Kansas City. You're welcome to weigh in on the Bills, by the way, at 855-212-4CBS. I've told you what I think. I'm not blaming Josh Allen. I do think they need a change at head coach. I think they've gone as far as they can. You're welcome to weigh in on that. Turning ahead, though, you look at Kansas City going into Baltimore, 3-point underdog. I'm surprised, and I know Kansas City deserves all the credit, and they're the boogeymen, and they are the modern, like, as close as we have to the dynasty. They're the team that's going to be competing with the Patriots for when we talk about all-time teams, I'm sure. But the Ravens are awesome right now. How is that only 3 points?
I thought the Ravens, they certainly didn't look good in the first half against Baltimore.
I know, but the second half, 3 straight touchdown drives and one seemed easier than the next. And the defense, all of us, they're still amazing.
But that was Houston.
They didn't give up an offensive touchdown.
That was an indoor team from the South coming into a freezing day. I think that there's going to be a lot of caveats. If that was on a neutral field, it was a much closer game. I felt like Houston kind of gave up on the thing. The other thing, you look at Baltimore, about, I'd say between a third and a half of their offense was Lamar Jackson running.
Yeah, but that's fine.
That's not fine. That's not what...
They just blew him out.
I don't know.
Josh Allen was doing whatever he wanted for most of this game. A running quarterback can make Kansas City sweat.
Well, then Kansas City put a spy on Josh Allen the game, and it was over for the Bills. So the question is, if I'm Baltimore, I thought Baltimore got away from the pass too much. Lamar was basically like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to hold it on until something happens here. When they could have killed the Texans defensive backs all game. I want to see Lamar let it loose a little more instead of relying on his legs too much. Honestly, Kansas City, I think they're just going to blitz Lamar and then keep a spy. They're just going to say, you know what? You're just not going to run on us. You're going to have to beat us with your arm. So I think, and he probably can. I'll be honest, he's on fire right now, but they are not going to let him run. I mean, Lamar had 11 carries for 100 yards and probably could have had another 100 yards if he wanted to. Houston left the entire middle of the field open. It was bizarre.
Lamar Jackson, the first quarterback with over 100 passing yards, over 100 rushing yards, over 100 passer rating to go along with 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, it was thorough. And I can't really blame the weather too much.
Oh, you think Houston wanted to be out there? Get out of here. You think
C.J. Stroud played at Ohio State. I mean, he knows what cold weather is like.
Southern California. It didn't matter. The entire team was I thought when they blew that field goal at the end of the half to go up 13-10, that's when the wheels completely came off. I'm excited about Houston's future, but that was not happening. By the way, why do they let Baltimore play with 14 guys on defense? I'm a little confused by that because every time Houston ran the ball, it was -1, -2, -3. Kansas City, I don't think they're going to go into that run defense. I think they're going to try and throw on Baltimore because Baltimore's run defense is brutal right now.
It's amazing. I mean, again, shut out Houston in the second half completely. Baltimore's defense did not allow an offensive touchdown. No offensive points were scored in this game by the Texans. Let's hear from Lamar Jackson. Can we hear cut 14? So this has now become sort of the lore of this game. It was a tie game going into the half. And apparently Lamar Jackson really had the speech that fired these guys up. What did he say? Can't tell you.
It'd be inappropriate if I said it right here. It would, but yeah, we wasn't really doing anything, to that defense. They was playing great, and that offense was playing great as well. But we wasn't doing our job, with our unit. In second half, we went to put points on the board, started moving the ball, moving the chains, and
yep, and that was it. Touchdown, field goal, game over. Jackson said in that speech, lots of bad words.
Who did most of the talking at halftime?
I did.
You did.
A lot of cursing at halftime. That's why I said it was inappropriate, Ron.
Well, Nelson Aguilar shed a little bit more light on this and Lamar's leadership.
We are as he goes, you know what I'm saying? His personality, he is the Baltimore Ravens. He leads the right way, by example. But also when it's time to talk, it's said, and then he executes. He does, He doesn't just talk, and then go out there and not do nothing. He says what needs to be said, then goes out there and executes.
Yep. And listen, whether it's a little storybook or whatever, I do think this was a Lamar took it over game. And I know Kansas City is going to be a step up in weight class for them. I think it's the Ravens' Super Bowl to lose. I think that's how good they have blown out in the regular season. They blew out all the best teams that they could possibly face.
Definitely.
And they faced a lot of them. And then to make the kind of adjustments that they did in the second half of this game when it could have gotten much tighter considering past playoff failures at home, pressure that could have been on Lamar, and instead they turn it on and they blow them out. I think this is the Ravens' world this year. We're living in it.
So you think the number 1 seed in the AFC is home against a struggling Chiefs team in the AFC title game? You think it's their Super Bowl to win? Of course it's their Super Bowl to win.
No, I mean, the 49ers had a really great season. I know they lost to the Ravens, but
something's missing with the 49ers defense where Baltimore's defense is peaking. But then again, Okay, yes, it does. I agree with you. It feels like their year. Do we know how, if it's 2 minutes left, same situation, Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, Mahomes turned out to be the cooler character. Have we seen this Baltimore Ravens team in a tight spot? They're killing everybody, which is usually a formula to win the Super Bowl. But I wonder if you get into that same situation and it's Lamar versus Patrick with 2 minutes left, again, Mahomes has done it so often that you might lean Mahomes.
You got to give the nod to Mahomes, I guess, because we've seen it before. But I think this is different, Lamar. And
I'm curious, too, why has the weather been so bad in Baltimore? When's the last time that it's been a normal day there?
It's winter time. I don't know what to tell you.
Right. It's Baltimore in January. This is what happens.
Well, we'll see, though. But, I mean, what about global warming? It's been freezing there. I think it's going to get a lot more temperate in the Northeast this week. So I'm curious. I don't know who that helps. But this was partly a weather game. I mean, the Texans
so it was bitter cold?
It was bitter cold. It was windy. I think in the first half, the Ravens were like, we're not going to open it up. We're just going to play kind of conservatively. The second they came out the second half, they're like, you know what? We can't stop Lamar. Finally, Baltimore realized we have LamarJackson on our team. Let's let them throw the ball downfield, and they just tore them apart.
EJ, you look like you want to say something.
I just can't get over this whole weather game being the thing. I mean, C.J. Stroud played in the Big Ten.
I know.
He had to go to Nebraska. He had to go to Iowa. He had to go to Michigan. I mean,
that's a dome team if there ever was one, the Texans.
I mean, but they have a quarterback who's used to playing in cold weather. Like I don't look at that game and say, oh, they lost that game because of the weather. I look at that game.
Not the Miami Dolphins.
They lost that game because they played against a rougher, tougher, more experienced team.
I agree with you. I thought in the first half, what was the excuse there? Weather's not an excuse. It was a tie game. I mean, I know it's because of a special teams punt return for a touchdown, but still, like, someone's executing in this cold, bitter, cold weather.
That's funny. So you guys think the outdoor team doesn't have an advantage in that situation?
Maybe, but
I think history shows it does, but maybe you guys are right.
But again, like, you look at the individual players on the team, you have a lot of cold
C.J.
weather
Stroud,
players.
I mean, what are his great games? They were Final Four games. I'm sure those were warm weather.
He killed every team not named Michigan in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, basically, most of those games are in October. I'm saying the best game of his career was against Georgia, and I think that was indoors.
Right, it was in a dome.
And he's definitely an LA guy. But C.J. Stroud was fine. It wasn't that the entire team, by the second half, looked like they didn't want to be out there.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I think it's the Ravens' Super Bowl to lose.
One more thing, too.
Of course.
There was no threat of a pass game, so they were totally stacking the box against the run game. That's why Baltimore won that game easily, because Houston could not run the ball at all. I mean, they averaged 2.2 yards per carry or something like that. So you're not going to win. Question is, the same thing going to happen to Kansas City. If Pacheco cannot run against that front, then trouble.
Let's go to Mark. He's in Indianapolis, wants to talk about a team in the NFC. Hey, Mark, what's up?
Hey, guys. I've been a Lions fan forever, so you understand my pain and misery. And I understand probably the national narrative of, well, okay, they're winning, but eventually it's going to end because it's the same old Lions. Well, this is not the same team. I've watched every game this year, and they find a way to win.
Yep.
And frankly, the 49ers don't scare me. I would have been more scared of the Packers the way they were playing. So I just wanted to, chime in and say that. And I'm not afraid of them going to 49ers. I was more scared of the Packers coming to Detroit because of the way Love was playing, but they blew that game. So go Lions.
Mark, I kind of get it. I get what you're talking about, because Love is scary, man. He's obviously it ended up being the fatal flaw in the game on Saturday night, but dude is not afraid to throw the ball in a tight window. These receivers working the sidelines. It's like they've been in the league for 15 years. They're all first and second year guys.
Okay. I just think that to say that you'd rather have Green Bay in Detroit compared to go to San Francisco.
So right now, the line opened up. There are a 7-point underdog.
It just went down to 6.5 on DraftKings. But so basically, Detroit's 5-point favorites or 4-point favorites at Green Bay. It's an 11-point swing. Honestly, I think now we're underestimating the Niners. I think Detroit's going to have to pull something off here. Listen, we're talking about Detroit has all this momentum, but I just assume, am I crazy to assume the Niners are going to play like themselves? This is a team that blew out the Eagles, blew out the Cowboys, blew out everybody at home, and they're kind of going to be relatively healthy if Debo's out there. I still think the Lions are an underdog. Let's not talk about them like this is a an even matchup, or am I totally wrong?
Well, this is you're part of the media not giving the Lions enough respect, playing right into what our caller just said.
Well, I mean, the spread says it all, doesn't it? I mean, honestly, if you're talking about respect, the fact that Patrick Mahomes is a 2.5-point underdog, and the fact that the Lions are a touchdown underdog, I think that says it all. Maybe I'm being in public, but yeah, I mean, don't you guys see that? Well, if you guys were going to set the spreads on this one, what would you say to that?
I think a touchdown's too heavy.
I do too.
I think the Lions have showed they play tight games, except for against the Ravens, I guess. They play tight games. Now, are they a different team outside? Yes, they are a different team outside.
That's a big issue.
But it looks like this is not going to be a weather game. No rain.
But it's going to be on grass. And the other thing, too, the Lions let a pretty medium-level Bucs team hang around.
The Lions can't put teams away. I say that, and they did have a game-stealing interception. But their pass defense is not good enough to put teams away. You know, like the Baker late touchdown to Mike Evans or whatever. Was it Mike Evans who scored the touchdown, or Otten?
Yes.
It was Evans.
Otten.
It was Evans with the big catch, and then Otten with the touchdown, or whatever order that went in. So beg my pardon, but I think that they can't put people away because that pass defense is so bad. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones. Want to get to your phone calls. My team lost yesterday. So therefore, I'm a loser. I don't have the loser hat. It didn't arrive from Amazon on time.
Darn.
I know. I'll wear it when it gets here. There's two other reasons why I'm a loser. We'll get to those. Maggie and Perloff. Again, 855-212-4CBS. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. If you have a Bills fan in your life, just give them a hug today. It's been hard.
I don't want anyone to hug me.
No, Maggie won't let us get anywhere near her. She just wants to stew in anger, and I understand. But
it's
as
called
you said,
homeostasis.
as
It's
you
my
texted us
natural
last-
state
Yeah.
is stewing in anger.
You're
That's how I
used-
wake up every day.
You're used to it at this point,
I
right?
am.
It gets easier?
It's kind of like the cold. You know, people ask you, what's it like to grow up in such a cold and snowy and dark and gray and depressing type of place like upstate New York? The weather, that is, not the people, but the weather. And I say,
And the people, but yeah.
you kind of get used to it. And so, yeah, the heartbreaking losses, the gut wrenching, the soul killing,
The total lack of hope, don't forget that.
yeah, that. Yeah, you do get used to it actually. So yes.
Wow. Good. I was worried about you, but now I'm not. Actually, I'd be more worried about Maggie if the Bills won because you would have no idea what to do with yourself. That would be. I just picture you wandering aimlessly through the streets of New Jersey, being like, I don't know, what do I do now?
Why am I not mad?
Just like walking into the woods alone. Chad is in Harrisburg. He's also a lifelong Bills fan, so Chad gets what I'm talking about. Good morning. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
Good. What do you think?
Considering the circumstances.
Yeah. Right. We're alive. We're healthy, hopefully. Knock on wood.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree with you. I feel like we need a coaching change.
Yep.
We're stale. You're relying on the same players that are constantly getting older, and when you need them the most, they're not there. I don't understand Devon Miller signing at all.
And he's basically a Bill until the year 2050. That contract is
like
forever. And by the way, at least he showed up last night for a couple plays. He's been completely non-existent.
Oh, definitely saw that at the very end of the game, and I kind of figured if we were down that far on the depth chart, that's why he's in there.
I know, Chad. It's rough. I wish I could say, and thank you for calling, that it was that it's shocking. It's not shocking. It's just hard. Germs is in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. It says, my neighbor is a Bills fan, and I'm not exaggerating. He was outside screaming the F word and crying. Also, he was drunk, but literally crying for over an hour outside my house. I'll tell my family to keep it down next time.
Yeah. All right. And no one thinks you're exaggerating.
No, you'd never be accused
You don't
of
have to
that.
sell that image. Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, at what age can you not cry at a sporting event
11.
for losing? I think winning is different. I think you can cry when you win as an adult.
Tears of joy, sure.
But losing, there were plenty of adults in those stands crying.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, get it together.
That's the Labatt Blue.
It's probably the same age that you shouldn't wear a football jersey to work.
Well,
Is that a shot at me? I wear a lot of jerseys to work.
In this place.
Maybe
the
this
rules
place.
are different.
Yeah.
But generally for civilians, I don't think you can wear a jersey to a game, obviously, but wearing the jersey around town when you're an adult, I'm not cool with that.
Nah, this feels very anti-hip-hop.
Let this be known. This is coming from somebody who's from Philadelphia, where a Brian Dawkins jersey is also considered formal wear.
Yeah,
that is
You
true.
can wear that to a wedding and a funeral.
What do you guys think about adults bringing baseball gloves to a baseball game? Is that cool? I think that's not cool. To try and catch a foul ball.
Dorky, but I don't. I don't feel much about it.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I don't feel it. Well, Pete, that sounded like it was coming from
There's
a
nothing wrong with
personal
it.
spot.
No, I don't take a glove.
Pete, you are a
As long as you don't
13.
show up with a baseball
You are a
bat.
13-year-old fan in an adult's body.
What am I going to bust my hand up trying to catch a foul ball?
Are you sitting in the bleacher? Like, are you sitting in the outfield?
It depends on where you're sitting. If you were before netting, if you were sitting down the first or third base line, it was probably smart to have a glove for safety's sake. But then you got to wear it the whole time, which is
And
we
it kind
never
of
do.
It kind of feels like you're trying to steal the ball from a young fan too. If you're sitting there in a glove, reaching out.
You can always give it to somebody.
Right.
Bilotti's not giving it.
I would give it
You
away.
would not.
No, I mean, I've seen enough baseballs. All right, here is a baseball.
Yeah,
Give
but
it to
catching
kid.
a foul ball is such a thrill.
I remember Luis Guillermo. We were at a Met game 2 years ago. Luis Guillermo threw a ball into the stands, and I got in front of it, but it went to the ground, and my girlfriend put her hand on it, and I swear there was like 7 or 8 like 60-year-old male hands just clawing at my
Gross.
girlfriend's hands on the ground, trying to grab the ball from her, and I'm like, yo, this is a 30-year-old woman. Like, she has the ball. What are you doing? Like,
EJ, that's
get
not
off.
nice to say. Pete's only 39.
Yeah.
He's not 50 or
disgusting
60.
pigs trying to grab a
Come on,
ball
like
That's the worst of the human species when a foul ball is in the stands. That is
ridiculous.
the worst.
Free t-shirt.
We turn it in.
Out of the t-shirt
Animal.
cannon. That
free
is
t-shirt.
That's another bad one.
Elbow an 8-year-old out of the way to get that $5 t-shirt.
$5 is generous. Just a warning sign. It's going to be triple X size, and there's going to be nothing on
Yep.
it.
I mean, it was Luis Guillermo. I mean, think about that. I mean,
throw
it
the
wasn't
ball
a foul
back.
ball. He threw
Hey.
the ball in the stands.
I love Luis Guillermo. This is a super utility type of dude.
I throw it right back.
Dave's in Arkansas. Good morning, Dave.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, Maggie and Perloff. I agree with each of you on separate points. You made excellent points. The first, before that, the first conference game between KC and New England, where they were on the 30-yard line, similar situation, and they scored and gave Brady 2 minutes to go. Same bad mistake. Brady comes down, and they subsequently win the game. Last night, the coach should have told Allen, under no circumstances should you score in the end zone. Perloff's strategy was the correct winning strategy. You have to hit the short pass for the first down. You have to nickel and dime. You have to either kick a field goal with 20, 30 seconds to go, or you have to score and leave Mahomes absolutely no opportunity to win that game. That pass to the end zone was absolutely the wrong play. And in Maggie's point, absolutely, the coach has to be fired. He cannot let his quarterback throw that pass to the end zone. But you both are absolutely correct.
Well, Dave, thank you. Man,
I got to give
Dave's right. I mean, he's right. I can't put this at the feet of Josh Allen. I can't put the game and the loss at the feet of Josh Allen. And I don't know.
No, it's interesting. Tony Romo, for all his flash, he actually said something. I think it was Romo said with 4 minutes left. He said, "Wow, Jim, I think they can actually run out the clock here."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wait, there's 4 minutes left in this game. How can they run out the clock?" And then they almost did, but then they got a little antsy at the end.
See,
Yeah.
they
It was
didn't get
a 6-minute
antsy.
drive.
Well, they did it.
I think to throw to the end zone, you could argue that they got a little antsy. But
That's not the word I would use for it. And when he threw it, I was like, oh, because you can obviously see the time and it says 1:55. I'm like, if this works, it's too soon. But you said that he threw it because he was like,
No. I mean, I think they should have kept throwing
they're trying to
underneath.
get a touchdown.
Jay should have kept throwing underneath, tried to get first downs, not try to go for the
I think
touchdown.
he just didn't see Diggs. He was so
Right.
zeroed in on the right side of the field. He just wasn't, Josh Allen, that is, he just wasn't even looking at Diggs crossing from right to left.
Yeah, and he was open. It's a touchdown without pressure.
Yep.
I don't even want to see Josh Allen let that ball out of his hands. I just want him to run 6 straight times in that
He
situation.
couldn't run, though. The run game
how do
was
you know?
not
Because
working on that
he was
final
actually
drive.
throwing the ball that drive. I mean, he did fumble it on a run earlier, but I don't know. I mean, that's their most consistent play. You're telling me there was no lane anywhere?
I'm telling you, on that final drive, we're just talking about the final drive that led to a missed field goal. Here were the runs. You had Josh Allen 4 yards. Okay. Then you have Josh Allen 6 yards. Okay, so I'm
That's
giving
pretty
you
good.
some there. Then you have James Cook up the middle, no gain on a 2nd and 4.
Yeah, not Cook, Allen.
James Cook, right guard, 1 yard on 1st and 10. Then it's the 2-minute warning. Like, they just...
Right, but
And those runs were pass
Those runs are
plays.
obvious. I'm saying have Josh Allen drop back and then get the Lamar Jackson like lane in front of him and just go.
Listen, I don't know what to tell you. I think if they felt like it was there, they would have done it. They were doing it all game. I think it's something that Kansas City did on defense that made it harder for them to run the ball in the final drive.
Allen also fumbled on that final drive, and that may have also spooked him a little bit as well in terms of ball security.
Yeah. And by the way, he almost threw an interception that basically if a Kansas City player didn't put his hand up and knock the ball, it's going to go right into the safety's hands. I don't know if Allen was getting a little tight there.
It was almost like cruel irony that I kept watching this game thinking, all right, where is the Allen crippling turnover going to happen? And he almost throws a pick. He fumbles a ball that should have been recovered by the Chiefs if it wasn't for Dalton Kincaid. And it was like, well, field goal miss. Yeah. That's how this game ends. I'm like, wow. Like, Bills, come on. Like, they never win these kind of games. Like,
thank you.
Anytime, I'm sorry, but like, it's
Is
crazy.
This new?
It's crazy. Like, how you were a whole franchise in every big game. It's like you guys sacrificed some Buffalo somewhere when Frank Wright came back and they won, come back from 27 points, whatever it was. It's like you guys did some blood sacrifice because now you guys can't win a close game.
Listen, what we do behind closed doors is none of your business. That's what America's all about. Here's the one thing about the Bills curse. I can't trace it back. I don't know what the Bills did to deserve this curse. So, the Red Sox, they traded Babe Ruth for money for a Broadway show. The Cubs, Billy Goat. Like, you have all these things you can directly put it back to. What did the Bills do to deserve this? What did the fans do to deserve this? Throw a couple snowballs? Come on, the Eagles got to win a Super Bowl and they throw batteries.
It's I don't know. It's something that I was sat there dumbfounded. I'm like, of course it was going to end like this. Of course.
I love that EJ just met the Bills.
Yeah.
It's crazy, though. How are you a whole franchise?
How has no one ever mentioned this before?
Never win a close game.
Who would have thought?
I'm telling you, I think it's this new generation of Bills fans. And EJ, it's not your fault. You're just younger, so you just don't remember the 4 straight Super Bowl losses. Couldn't have been a big part of your life like it was for some of us.
The Bills had 17 years where they were terrible.
Awful.
They weren't in these kind of games. And now that they are, every time.
Back to losing.
They it's not like they lose normal.
No, they lose little and they lose big. Got it.
Crazy.
Got it.
I'm sorry.
I know.
Thanks, EJ.
Thank you.
There was one time they made 4 straight Super Bowls and they didn't win one of them.
I know.
Yeah.
EJ, you can just go ahead and take the rest of the
To be
morning
fair, most
off.
of them were not close.
Go Wikipedia the history of the Bills if you need to.
Who's ever done that? Oh, yeah, the Vikings, and they haven't won either.
Yeah. Yeah, Greg Giannotti giving me a knowing glance this morning. Viking fan. Bogus has got headlines. See you guys on the phone, so we'll get to you, we promise.
And speaking of all of that, as a Giants fan, I can officially welcome Chiefs fans to the good half of the wide right club. Tyler Bass has shanked from 44 with 143 left. Helped KC leave Buffalo with a 27-24 win last night. Third time in 4 Januaries that Andy Reid's team eliminates Buffalo.
All-time classic again. Every time we play one of Sean's teams, it comes right down to the end. If we don't play them again, I'm good with that. But I'm so proud of our guys.
It wasn't a missed field goal that did in the Bucs in the final moments in Detroit. It was a bad decision by Baker Mayfield, forcing a throw over the middle that Lions linebacker Derek Barnes picked off.
I thought our offensive line did.
Shut up, Andy Reid.
Bad mistake by me, and it sucks because I know what type of group we've had all year, that we fought to get to this point. We fought to be in that game. We weren't supposed to be here by any measures, but we believed in each other and we fought for it. And so, this one's going to weigh on me for a while.
2 picks by Baker, but also 3 touchdowns, which is why Tampa was in position to force OT at the end of regulation.
Todd Bowles, by the way, killing me, killing that team.
Go for it,
and
please.
I was Captain Obvious.
By Captain Obvious. It's from the minute Tampa Bay stepped on that field, they were playing cautious football. I'm like, why are you not letting Baker rip the ball down the field? And then they finally were like, all right, it's the end of the game. Todd Bowles completely blew that game. I'm sorry. Yeah, same
I was
thing.
going to agree with you. Yeah. It's just, you can't, in this day and age, you can't punt when it's 4th and 1 at the 40.
It's not even that. You are going
crazy.
against everyone on earth knows the Lions' weakness is their secondary, and you are just going to be like, you know what, we're going to chip it down the field the first 3 quarters.
And their strength is wide receiver play.
Yes.
And I know Evan dropped a few, but they ended up catching a touchdown, the one that cut it to one score. Like, what was going on?
How funny was it when they score the touchdown and they line up to go for 2? Well, first they didn't, right?
Right.
And then they did, and everyone has to explain on the broadcast, like, no, this is the right thing they're doing. How shocked were you that Todd Bowles actually signed off on that?
Yeah.
I'm not.
For some reason, I knew that play wasn't going to work. You kind of felt, the Bucs are not going to hit this.
Not at all.
Anyway.
Welcome to the Todd Bowles Show.
Also, no chance Baker Mayfield was leading them down for a tying score.
No, I
No
totally
way.
agree. And if they did, there's no way they hit the next 2-point conversion.
No chance. I was not surprised they picked that off.
Well, yesterday, actually out in the wild, I saw someone wearing a Tom Brady Bucs jersey.
Oh, there you go.
In suburban New Jersey. I know. It's like, whoa.
The Bears are reportedly close to hiring Seahawks offensive coordinator Shane Waldron for that same position, ending dreams of Cliff Kingsbury leading that offense. Not surprisingly, Eagles D coordinator Sean Desai is out of a job after losing play calling duties to Matt Patricia in season. Patricia's contract is up, and he's expected to look for other jobs.
That's why Belichick doesn't have a job yet. Whoever the owner is like, as long as you don't bring Matt Patricia, we're fine. But he's out there. Atlanta, get ready. It's a Patricia McDaniels show.
Another Sunday doubleheader at All Staples. The Lakers down the Blazers at night, 134-110, behind 34 from D'Angelo Russell and 28 from LeBron, all after the Clippers stole a 125-114 win from the Nets. LA scored the final 22 points of that game to get the win. So many people have benefited from Nick Saban retiring. Steve Sarkisian, Mike Norvell got extensions at Texas and FSU after being linked to Bama. Kalen DeBoer got the Bama job. And now Ryan Day is jazzing up his roster with Bama transfers. First stud safety Caleb Downs. And now our favorite 5-star QB Julian Sayin. You may remember he entered the portal last week on our advice. And now he ends up smartly with the Buckeyes. San Jose State football is hiring former Navy boss
Nia Matualolo.
I think our good friend Rich Ackerman has a hold on that name by now. That one's for Pete specifically.
Yes.
Ken Niumatalolo is the new head coach at San Jose State,
job back.
replacing Brent Brennan, who's replacing Jed Fish at Arizona. Kenny, as Rich now calls him, won a program record 109 games and made 11 bowl games in 15 seasons in Annapolis. And Nick Dunlap is the first amateur to win on the PGA Tour since Phil Mickelson in 91, taking the American Express in California. Dunlap is a 20-year-old Alabama sophomore, so he's now in the transfer portal as well.
You killed my joke. But I was going to say he's at Ohio State now. Nick Dunlap and Julian Sayin going to Columbus.
But imagine that. He wins that, doesn't get the money, but Nick gets to decide now. He's got like 12 months to figure out what to be a pro.
I know.
Kills me that dude is not getting the money. He better win some real tournaments, or this is going to be such a lost opportunity.
It just seems insane that he's not getting the money. There are some kind of percentage of the money.
Or later. Like, he doesn't get
Put
it
to the
now.
side.
Put it to
Great.
the side.
Yes, put it in a, I don't know, trust fund. Don't golf people know about those kinds of things?
I think so.
But at least he'll get $30,000 for putting a logo on his shirt now. I mean, he's going to make some money off
And he can
this.
play in all 4 majors now. He was already in the Masters, the U.S. Open, and the British. Now he gets in the PGA Championship because of this.
It would be fun to walk into class on Monday morning and be like, hey, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, I won a golf tournament. No big thing. PGA. First one since 91.
I'm done.
Bogish, thank you so much. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones. Want to talk about the Bills? You want to talk about the 49ers? We see that. Want to talk about Baltimore, Kansas City, all of it. It's on tap for you. I got to tell you also why it was a little insult to injury over the weekend for me. Yeah, 855-212-4CBS. We got the details for you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free. It's sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Rough morning for your girl. Chris is in Texas, sending his condolences to me. Good morning, Chris.
Morning, Maggie.
How you been, pal?
Yeah, I thought I'd call and, commiserate with you. I was rooting for them last night. I'm getting sick of Kansas City.
Well, they deserve it. Six straight AFC Championship games. Hey, Chris, people are saying the Bills are the Dallas Cowboys of the AFC. Do you think that's right?
I hope not. I hope y'all got better ownership.
Yeah, well, this is
our owner's an idiot.
Quieter ownership. I don't know if it's any better.
Yeah. Now, I'm happy Perloff ain't happy. I'm glad his Eagles got thumped last week, but
this was setting up really well for the Eagles. If they were just any good at football, that would have helped.
That's true. And then I'm hoping Detroit wins next week, because otherwise I root for the AFC in the Super Bowl.
All right. I see.
I can't root for San Francisco.
No, as a Cowboy fan, you can't. But that Cowboys Lions game, Chris, was a doozy. You guys probably should have lost that game.
Probably, but we pulled it out. Not that it helped.
Chris, thank you for the phone call. Thanks for checking in. Chris was a great caller when we were in the afternoon spot.
Yeah.
So I appreciate him waking up early for us.
Yeah. Anyone who could say Detroit, they're a real one. So, man, this NFC, we're not even talking enough about the NFC. That's a wild scene. We got the Lions in the title game. The Detroit Lions.
It's wild. Team of destiny, though, for the Lions.
You know how I feel about them. That's one of my other bandwagons.
Yeah, I know. We can't
Jahmyr
keep track.
Gibbs, let's go. Bilotti, you hear that?
Ramon.
Totally ridiculous.
Ramon's in Indy. Good morning, Ramon. How are you?
Good morning to my favorite morning people, Perloff, Maggie. And I just wanted to throw this out there real quick. Perloff was talking about Lamar. Perloff, football, when you're up 14, 21 points, they don't throw the ball, they run the ball. I just saw 7 clips on ESPN of Kansas City handing the ball off to Pacheco and running it. Mahomes only had 212 yards. Allen only had 186. Bad weather dictates running. Peyton Manning in 2006. Jonathan Rhodes and Joseph Adai had 130 yards apiece in the Super Bowl. Matter of fact, he didn't have a good playoff run at all. Denver, he couldn't even throw the ball. Yet no one takes away those 2 Super Bowls that he won. No one even mentions that he had a noodle arm in Denver. Last thing, Brady against the Rams. I think that's 2019-20, forget my year. Brady had 162 yards passing. No one mentions that he always shines that ring. The goal is to get the ring. That's all that matters. Lamar get the ring.
Ramon, let me ask you a question.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Explain this to me. The first half, Lamar is just like, no pass is good enough. He just holds the ball. He's like, I'm not going to throw this. Then he's like, they come out the second half, just zip, 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 zip. He could have thrown for 400 yards. He was perfectly accurate. I felt like Baltimore was holding back and playing cautious the first half. I think you got to let Lamar cook.
Like Dak. Maybe you don't want to be a Dak with them empty calories, 400 yards, and sitting at home. So.
But they played with fire a little bit by not letting LamarJackson really go in the first half, I thought.
That 3 weeks off, the little rust, it took a little time to get going. It's a little rust there, and then when they got going, they got going. But when you're ahead, you run the ball, you milk the clock, and that's what you're supposed to do. And Kansas City is doing that great. That's going to be a hard-fought, good game. I like to see it. Smash mouth football. I don't need to see 400 yards passing. Thanks for taking my call.
About professional broadcaster there, hitting the out one.
Smash mouth football.
All right, let me hit the tease here. Coming up next, who has more at stake in the championship round?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's destined to get knocked out by Jake Paul. She's destined to film it. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Holding himself, runs to the left, he's to the 5, Lamar's in, touchdown Ravens. They're going to have a championship game in Baltimore because the hay's in the barn.
Congratulations, the Ravens. It's their Super Bowl to lose right now. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Not just their AFC Championship game to lose. It's their Super Bowl to lose. They put together the most impressive half of football, I think, of anybody in the divisional round. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I think the Packers are probably the surprise story of the playoffs, Perloff, and Detroit has been the feel-good story of these playoffs, but the Ravens, to me, are playing the best of anyone in the playoffs.
Yeah, but we only seen them in one game against Houston on the road. So I just think there's some unknown. I think that's why the spread is so close. They came out, they were a little tight, a little rusty. I don't think we've really even seen the Ravens yet. That Texans game felt, it was close. Obviously, it was tied at half, 10-10, and Houston could have been up 13-10. But for some reason, that felt like we don't really know who the Ravens are after that game. And we know who they are from the regular season, but that game, to me, it's a lot different to play Patrick Mahomes and to play a very, very young quarterback in the Houston Texans. And I know you guys disagree with it. A dome team that didn't seem super interested in playing out that game in the cold. I mean, they clearly gave up by the fourth quarter.
Well, I think maybe it's a combination. Maybe because I've seen the Ravens blow out really good teams, including the 49ers in San Francisco, Santa Clara. And also, I just watched the Houston Texans beat the brakes off of Cleveland a week before.
Cleveland.
Okay, but Cleveland, don't just Cleveland. I mean, they were a 2.5-point favorite in that game, number one.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 2.5-point favorite with Joe Flacco.
And one of the best defenses, and one of the best defenses in the league. I think that the Ravens defense is much, much better. And this Ravens defense is not just they played well, they didn't allow a point offensively. That only touchdown for the Texans came on the special teams, the punt return.
I do agree with that. Isaiah Pacheco ran wild. There's no way that's happening against Baltimore. So to me, the key strategic question and what is Kansas City going to do about Lamar Jackson running? Are they they'll put a spy on him? You can't, the problem is if your pass rushers like Houston, it's like they've never seen tape in their lives. The pass rushers ran right past Lamar in every play. But if you don't pressure Lamar, he's going to pick you apart because he's so accurate right now. So it's a pick your poison situation. I'd love to know what Steve Spagnuolo is going to do. He's probably in the drawing room right now saying, I'm not sure there's an easy answer.
Well, listen, they just came up with something pretty good for Josh Allen in the fourth quarter. So you're going to have to replicate a lot of that.
Okay, so they sold out to stop Josh Allen running, but there were open receivers all over the field then. That's a problem too. Mark Andrews probably going to be back next week for the Ravens. That's a tough solution. The only reason I think that, yes, Baltimore looks like a juggernaut right now. They look unstoppable. But there is a guy on the other side. It's just that Patrick Mahomes mystique is sitting there, Maggie. You know, even in Baltimore, as confident as you are, you're going against Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, I get it. There is the Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, and now Steve Spagnuolo. There's like a boogeyman aspect to the Kansas City Chiefs, and I get why. But with that defense and the better special teams, like the deficiencies that the Bills had, which was so injured on defense, and special teams was awful. The fake punt, the missed field goal. I mean, the punting in general was bad when they actually did punt. They gave Kansas City great field position. That's not going to happen with the Ravens. The Ravens defense is healthy and awesome. Their special teams is probably the best in the NFL. So if we're talking about a game that we think is going to be won, it's going to be tight in one of the margins, that kind of stuff matters.
Sorry, they did just let up a punt return touchdown.
Well, okay, they got that one. That was after, hadn't played for 3 weeks, and I'll give them a pass on that. 855-212-4CBS. Of course, because the victor goes the spoils, Kansas City moves on to face Baltimore. But, spare a thought, pour one out for my Buffalo Bills, who, again, end the season in the only way possible. Devastation, just complete and utter annihilation of your soul. So
I kind of disagree with you.
Well, I'm the one living it. So.
Well, it's just, but in the past, you guys lost games you should have won. There's no way the Bills should have won this game. They were outplayed. I don't want to
hear that.
They were definitely outplayed.
Oh, okay, but you can steal games all the time.
They would have had to steal it.
The better team doesn't always win.
Felt like they had a chance to steal it, and they let that chance go.
This was a very evenly matched game, which I thought was a kudos and credit to Buffalo, considering the defense was who could name half of these guys in the secondary.
Even the backups were getting hurt. It was
linebackers.
Yeah, I didn't believe you because you were always too pessimistic on your own team, but you said the middle five of this Bills defense are backups, and it's going to be really hard to stop them, and that's exactly what happened.
Let's go to the phones, 855-2124-CBS. We'll get more into Patrick Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson. I mean, this is a juicy one. It's
pretty good.
This is amazing. Not that Goff Purdy isn't awesome, but that's going to be a different type of game.
No, Goff Purdy and Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes are not same.
Not exactly the same. Just when we're talking about the quarterbacks, I'm sure both the games are going to be good. Rich is in Chicago. Has got a thought on the Bills and their coaching staff. What's going on, Rich?
I'm gonna help you, Maggie, kind of get off the ledge.
Oh, because I want Jim Harbaugh. Is there some way you can hand deliver him to Buffalo?
No, I don't think it's coaching. I'm a lot older than you guys, and I've been to. This is my curse. I've been to all 4 of the Bills' Super Bowl losses in a row. I was a corporate sponsor, and in the '90s, and I saw all 4 games. I saw more than those 4, but I did see those 4 in a row. And here's the Bills' curse. And you had mentioned earlier, people are accusing the Bills of being Dallas of the AFC. That's really not the curse.
No.
Here's the curse. And I'm serious about this because I'm very superstitious. The curse is they are just like the Vikings in the NFC, who have lost 4 Super Bowls, have never won one, have been to it 4 times, just like the Bills. So you've got kind of the version, the Minnesota version. And here's why. Weird things have happened to the Bills. In the 4 in a row that I saw, how about Thurman Munson losing his helmet?
Thurman Thomas, yeah.
Yeah, Thomas, I'm sorry. I was there. I'm looking at him. He didn't even start the game. He's wandering around looking for his helmet. You got Norwood, who choked his guts out. Now you got another Norwood in Bass. So those are 3 major mistakes that normally don't happen to an organized team. And I actually, I think that could carry over. But I think the way you beat it, and I'm serious about this, I think the way you beat it is, and this is going to be a non-divisional game, but you go to Minnesota because their second loss, if you remember, in the Super Bowl was in Minneapolis, which is a double curse. They had to play in the Metrodome. Again, and the other thing, and Perloff mentioned this, the only close game was in Tampa against the Giants. The next 3 after Norwood choked were blowouts. I think they lost by an average of 35 points.
Wait, so how do they beat the curse, though, Rich?
You got to go to Minnesota and beat the Vikings in Minnesota to get rid of the Minnesota hangover.
Oh.
They're just, you see, I'm serious. It sounds weird.
How are we gonna? They can't even get to they can't get back to the Super Bowl, Rich. You can't get by the Chiefs. And Rich, thank you so much. This is Mahomes is the Michael Jordan to the Bills, like Patrick Ewing. It's not a place you want to be, by the way. No thanks. And he didn't stop Joe Burrow from getting to the Super Bowl. We're not sure what's going to happen when they play Lamar Jackson, but Mahomes is the personal Michael Jordan to Josh Allen.
Well, yeah, you say that.
Preventing him and blocking him.
This was probably not a Bills Super Bowl year anyway, because of the injuries and the Baltimore run game, I think would have been a big problem. So, yeah, I understand that analogy. But here's the question, though. You had said before that he was a Michael Jordan in the rest of the NFL. I'm not ready to discount that because if he beats Lamar Jackson, the only reason the Kansas City is going to beat the Ravens is because of Patrick Mahomes.
No, I mean,
Lamar will be the John Stockton, Karl Malone of this situation.
It will be. My original thought on this was Mahomes is Michael Jordan. He's going to prevent all these other good quarterbacks from winning titles, and I know Joe Burrow beat him, so it's not perfect analogy, but. Right now, it's to Josh Allen. I know that's for sure. We'll see what happens next week.
I can't wait to see. Is he going to act that way to Lamar, or is Lamar going to be able to break through? Because to me, I see most of the sports world through a 90s NBA lens. So
I'm giving you your
Lamar
right
is basically, he's like, can Sean Kemp and Gary Payton finally get one for the team? I didn't buy it because I thought the NFL had so much parity, but now I'm thinking you're right. And it's not just Mahomes. It's all of a sudden, the Chiefs look so much more comfortable in that setting at the end of the game. They don't feel like they panic. Where the Ravens is it good or bad that the Ravens have beat everyone by 3 touchdowns coming into this? Because I would love to see 2 minutes left. I do not know what a Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes 2 minutes left looks like. I know what it looks like with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, if the Chiefs can keep it close, I have a lot of faith in Mahomes in that situation.
So this is going to sound like sour grapes, and I don't mean it to. I think the Bills lost that game more than the Chiefs won it. And
I can't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know what game you were watching.
That final drive, I think if the Bills execute on that final drive, you guys keep telling me all morning those crossing routes were open. If Josh Allen just sees Stephon Diggs, he was staring down Khalil Shakir in the end zone. But if he sees that opening, then you can dink and dunk and take even more time off the clock and get there.
Well, the only reason the Chiefs definitely could have lost that game, Mecole Hardman, the latest Chiefs knucklehead receiver, and the fact that they didn't pick up that fumble, it felt like if the Chiefs had lost, that would have been a huge.
That would have been a massive.
That would have been
in
them
some ways he's
giving
kinda
away
off
the game.
hook. Yeah.
The Hardman fumble alone. If you're if you're a Chiefs fan, the one thing you cannot do there is fumble.
I know.
And you try to reach out for the pylon.
And I don't think they should get rid of that play. I think the defense
It
already has
worked there.
been so decimated by the rule changes. Like, it's so hard to play defense now in the NFL. And so keep that rule. Guys shouldn't be able to reach out like that at the goal line without consequences.
I hate it during the regular season, but I liked it last night. I don't know why.
It kept the game close.
Kept the game close.
Kept you interested.
It kept it interested, but also, too, it felt like Hardman deserved that. That was such a knucklehead play because it would have been first and goal. They could have just run the ball in, or maybe second and goal. But either way, the Chiefs had that game. That was right after the fake punt. That must have been. So I can't imagine what the Gray household was like during that little 2-minute exchange.
It's silent, stunned silence. Like, my husband and I were watching in our bedroom TV, and we couldn't believe it. What are you doing? What are you doing? And if you're going to do something like that, give it to Josh Allen. Don't have Damar Hamlin, who's played probably 25 snaps all season. Why would you put him in that situation?
Well, you clearly missed the idea when we talked about the NFL being scripted. Sean McDermott saw the Disney Hollywood movie script and said, "Oh, this has got to be how it ends. It's great, Damar Hamlin, the feel-good story, getting the first down that changes the momentum for the Bills, and we finally go to the Super Bowl."
I know, EJ, it's news to you that the Bills lose in these heartbreaking ways my whole life.
Yeah.
But there was no shot that anything with Buffalo ends like a Disney movie.
I have
no shot.
I have a strong vibe that Sean McDermott did not call that fake punt.
Well, then it's on him for the miscommunication.
I don't know
lack
what
of
happened
communication with the special team.
It was the weirdest play because, for some reason, I couldn't really tell what was happening. It lasted Hamlin was running for a good 8 seconds and not getting anywhere. It was the weirdest play. They had a huge advantage of 8 blockers on 6 blockers and still got no space whatsoever.
It looked like he was running on a treadmill.
Yeah,
yes,
like
exactly.
Fred Flintstone, like he gets a running start and then goes, but he didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, and there are all those jokes about Isaiah Pacheco, the Chiefs running back's running style that
he hits the ground so hard.
Nate Burleson said he runs like a kid who's trying on shoes at the shoe store. And the other one is he's angry at the ground. It's fun, but sorry about that play. I wish it worked out for you.
That's why I can't really say the Bills lost this game, because I felt like they didn't play well enough to win. I mean, you have Diggs dropping passes.
Yeah.
You should have gave up a touchdown from Mecole Hardman and that knucklehead. I mean, there's so many plays that Josh Allen fumbled, and there were 3 Chiefs around the ball, and none of them, for some reason, pick it up. Like, it felt like the Bills were lucky to be in that spot.
And Mahomes until the fourth quarter, had total control of the game. Nobody was stopping anybody until the fourth quarter.
I thought that the Bills actually recovered quite nicely from the Stephon Diggs drop. They got back to what they were doing. They found Kincaid a couple times. Josh Allen ran a couple times. They got to that really great play to Shakir. What was that, on fourth down? The fourth down conversion? Was
third down.
Third down conversion. Beautiful play call. I thought they got themselves back on track. You guys got to understand something. Bills don't go on 16-play drives. That's not what they do, because Josh Allen has a penchant to turn the ball over.
Which he should have done.
Which he almost did. So I thought they got themselves back on track, and then
I still can't believe this is going to go out as a Diggs drop game. I mean, you even could have thrown a flag on pass interference. Yes, he should have made that catch if he's a number 1 all-time receiver, but we're acting like he dropped a wide-open pass that hit him in the chest.
But you know what? I think also is the reason why we think of this as a Diggs drop, too, because of all the stuff we heard in the offseason. It was, I don't feel good about this team, and they're trying to figure out what's going on with him. He's not getting the ball enough. He's sulking, all these issues. And then, okay, money's on the line, game's on the line, all the chips to the middle of the table. You throw a 60-yard bomb that could change the course of the game, and the ball goes through your hands.
Well,
it can't happen.
EJ is 100% right. There's baggage with this, and that's what happens when you have a team together for a long time and they don't win. This baggage ends up building and building. And don't forget, earlier in the drive before, it was Sherfield who dropped a play, and even I tweeted it. If you're going to go downfield like that, it's got to be to Diggs, and he dropped it.
Wait. That was not a drop.
Well, he trapped it on the ground.
Guys, there were 5 Chiefs around. That ball just happened to land in an empty space. That was not a high percentage play.
None of their anything plus 20 yards was high percentage. They couldn't get anything going.
Which is a problem. I mean, because, again, you're talking about the biggest game of the season and your biggest drive, and you're going for these low percentage Hail Mary type plays. It's like, where is your little, like the Shakir play, which was on 4th down, like the Shakir play, where are your little dink and dunk plays to get you to move the sticks? Like, it seemed like Josh Allen was just playing all for now. I will say this. Josh Allen,
been worse. This was like a very conservative game by Bills' accounts.
Right. It's just that drive just felt like it was all or nothing. And, I mean, Josh Allen, he plays quarterback the way, like, people play quarterback in their backyard. It's just like throwing the ball 60 yards or I'm taking off and running.
Yes, this is the Josh Allen experience. I mean,
have you had you watch a lot of NFL. Have you had a blind spot to the Bills until this game?
No, I'm just saying, like, that was the moment where, like, you would have thought this is where they can't play this way. And to Maggie's point, he was kind of under control. You weren't seeing some of those big shots and risk taking. In fact, he had to kind of defend the offense. They were saying, why weren't there more big plays? And he said, well, we were taking what the defense gives them. And then second half, they didn't do that.
I thought that, and this is what leads me to saying I want a coaching change, which people are saying 11 wins, 2 home games in the playoffs. How could you want a coaching change? What's the identity on offense? It changed midseason. You still don't have it figured it out.
I like their identity in the second half. With Joe
I did
Brady.
too. But again, in the biggest moment, it evaded them and they went away from it. So that's to me why you need a change. 855-212-4CBS. As for the NFC, Leland is in Sacramento, wants to talk about the Niners and escaping with a win over the Packers. Hey, Leland, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Maggie and Perloff. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. What do you got to say?
Well, first I want to say I enjoy listening to the show. You guys came on in the Northern California market maybe in the last couple of months, and I like the vibe.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you. Hey, Leland, do you know about our about the 49ers, the new 49ers bet?
I do not. Inform me.
Okay, so Eric in Portland with his cool son Cooper sent Perloff and I Brock Purdy for MVP t-shirts. And I said if the 49ers win the Super Bowl, I'll wear the Brock Purdy for MVP t-shirt for a month straight.
Wow, I don't know. That's going to be a tall bet, and I'll explain why.
Okay, tell us.
So there's so many things, a person could comment about the game on Saturday, but here's a couple of things I saw. I saw Nick Bosa getting blocked by wide receivers.
And Chase Young.
Seams on the edge. They were just going for so many yards, and the 49ers don't fix that no matter what Brock Purdy does, whether he improves his game, learns how to throw a ball when it's wet. But it's not going to rain next week here in Northern California. But the 49ers defense, to me, didn't play up to their standard, and if they don't get it together, they're not going to win against the Lions. Those Dan Campbell-led Lions play with intensity. And I'm a 49er fan. I'm rooting for the 49ers, but I'm just being realistic.
Well, explain to me. Can someone explain to me why this 49ers defense is not awesome? I look at the players and I'm like, oh, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, All-Pro, All-Pro, All-Pro. And yet Jordan Love looked like he wasn't scared of them at all on Saturday night.
I mean, the only thing I can think of, and Leland, maybe you've got a thought, but losing Hufanga, I mean, he was pretty awesome. You can't blame it on one guy when you have this much talent.
I don't know. You can't throw to Lenore. I mean, there's a lot of things that should be working for this. It is weird.
I don't know. Those three losses, they brought down Steve Wilkes from the booth to the field.
Yeah.
That seemed to help a little bit with the emotion. But I'm telling you, I saw Fred Werner with his arms stretched out trying to missing tackles. I know Greenlaw got those 2 interceptions, but the biggest thing for me was the lack of sacks by the bookends.
Well, that's the
Chase
thing about
Young
Jordan
and
Love,
Bosa.
Leland, is, and thank you for the phone call and good luck to your Niners. We'll be talking a lot about them this week, of course, but that's the thing about Jordan Love and about quarterbacks these days. And Greg Olson mentioned it yesterday. No, he mentioned it Saturday night. if you want to play quarterback in this day and age, you've got to be able to move. And Jordan Love is not a running quarterback by any stretch, but he can move around. Like, these guys don't get sacked anymore.
Yeah, and credit, the Packers line blew away the Niners defensive line. That's why Aaron Jones was going nuts.
He's right. These wide receivers were blocking Chase Young. They're blocking Nick Bosa.
Bosa made some plays.
One time.
Bosa had some tackles for loss. He wasn't totally disappeared. But Chase Young, I mean, I don't expect much out of him, but Javon Hargrave, all these guys, Dre Greenlaw, I think really people are underestimating what happened to Dre Greenlaw. He messed with Big Dom in Philadelphia and it disrupted his amazing season. I'm half kidding. I see Dre Greenlaw completely take over games, and he just was not as impactful. It's weird how good this defense should be and what's actually seeing on the field. If you're no one's scared that the Lions aren't going to be able to move the ball. This is supposed to be the ferocious Niners defense, and I think everyone thinks that it's good. It's a 52-point total. It's
a lot. Got more thoughts on that game in just a moment. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Also hear from Dan Campbell, Lions head coach, after the win. We'll play that for you next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Want something the city can be proud of. Though you can look at those guys and say, man, I can back that guy. I can back that team. I can resonate with those group of guys. They're kind of salty. They don't quit. They play hard. And so I feel like we've done that. And I think these guys, they have a kinship with this city and this area, and they love it.
I assume that's Dan Campbell. I'm not sure of the credit. Or is that at the postgame press conference? So the Lions have these fancy players. Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff's pretty boy quarterback. Frank Ragnow, their center, is just an animal. And the fact that he gets injured on every play and comes back and mauls somebody the next play, they are taking on the Dan Campbell persona, which is they're not a defense team at all. They're a wide open passing game. I am so excited for the San Francisco-Detroit game. Obviously I'm a Brock Purdy fan, obviously a lifelong Detroit Lions fan. I'm rooting for everybody in this one.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, Maggie, be like me. Your Bills are out of it. Just embrace. How can you not like this Ravens team? How can you not like this Chiefs teams? There are 3.5 likable teams. I don't know about Niners. But Lions incredibly likable. Hey, tell me
Chiefs
you don't like.
Are not likable.
Chiefs are so. Oh boy,
definitely not.
What is not likable about the Chiefs? That they're good. That's it.
No, well, that's part of it. Is once you're this good, people are going to come for you, and the winning, is going to breed some contempt there. So that's part of it for sure. And they're peak annoying. I mean, the Taylor Swift stuff is just the tip of the iceberg here. And I thought Jason Kelce for your Philadelphia Eagles, shirtless at the game, enough. I mean, talk about wanting to hog all the spotlight for yourself. Let your brother have it. It's his moment. They're celebrating every touchdown in that booth in the suite like the Kansas City Chiefs have never been to the divisional round before. Meanwhile, you've already won 2 Super Bowls and been to 3 with Patrick Mahomes. Like,
Travis Kelce will be fine on the attention front. The dude just did a heart sign after scoring a touchdown to Taylor Swift
and you're
in his
asking
box.
me why they're
so
annoying.
You're worried about Jason stealing attention from Travis? That is the last worry you have to have on this planet Earth at this time.
This is the problem, is I feel like the Kelce brothers, I'm already over the Kelce brothers, and in a lot of ways, we're just getting started with these two.
And I'll be real, this guy better retire.
Who?
Jason.
Oh, yeah.
You cannot, I know because he's been waffling, or I don't know. If this guy comes back to your Eagles, Perloff, after rocking a Chiefs hat, taking his shirt off, getting into it, Bills fans, phony.
We literally seen the
baloney.
man. We've seen the man drink 300 beers already in 2 weeks since the season's been over. I don't know if he's going to be peak physical shape to come back to the Eagles. I'll take it back. I don't care about any of this.
That is a loser energy.
Get out of here. What on earth do I care? The man will party with anybody. It doesn't matter. If you have beer, he'll be there. Is that a bad thing? What's the difference?
The retirement tour has to be on. What I think is interesting is, did you guys see Michelle Tavoya talking on CBS Sports Radio actually over the weekend? She said she thinks Travis is going to retire.
Yeah.
And they asked, where are you coming with that? Because Travis had just said that he has no intention of retiring a couple weeks ago. And she said something that she might actually know about, which is NBC and Peacock wanting to do a Manning-style second broadcast with the Kelce brothers to kind of rival the Manning cast for Peacock, for the streaming-only service. And Michelle Tavoya worked at NBC for a long time. She might really know something from someone on the inside about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great plan. Maybe you could do that next year, too, if Kelce does come back. I think it's hard to retire, especially if the Chiefs don't win this year. If the Chiefs win it all, that'd make a little more sense. But if they get really close, don't you think Travis is still playing so well?
I think either way you want to come back because you win and you get 3 Super Bowl trophies and Patrick Mahomes is 28. Why wouldn't the Patriots and Tom Brady be in the sights? Like, I did not think anyone would ever pass Brady. But if Mahomes wins his 3rd one before 30...
Ooh.
Come on. With Andy Reid is not super old. I mean, he might want to.
So, Andy, talk about CBS Sports Radio, and you have Mike Florio coming on Zach Gelb's show saying he thinks Andy Reid may be thinking about retirement.
I think that is to get a new contract, but that's just me. But yes, I did hear that.
This will be 3. It's, that Bucs title has put a lot of distance between him and everyone else. It's funny. The Chiefs were not a great team this year. I don't even understand where all of a sudden the old Chiefs are merged in Buffalo last week.
Well, the defense has been good.
Defense has been good, but they have not passed the ball at all season long. And now it's really interesting that all of a sudden they found their footing in the playoffs.
Pacheco and Kelce, that's all you need. John is in Western New York, has a thought on the Bills. Hey, John, what's up?
Hi, I just want you guys to take in consideration the fact that nobody seems to talk about it because they don't think much of it. But, the one team had almost 8 days off. The other team had 6 days off.
Yeah.
And if you notice by the second half, the Bills weren't in the trenches driving the Chiefs back like they were in the first. I think between that and the fact that, Davis wasn't playing and they didn't have a true number 2 that stretched the field, especially when Shakur, that's how his name's pronounced, got hurt. Basically, they early in the game they were always playing a double safety. In the second half, that safety a lot of times was sneaking up into the box, and then they were stuffing the run. So those things all come into consideration. I just think that those couple days that they did not have rest like the Chiefs did, took the stamina kind of wore on the Bills a little bit. It's not anything that you see glaring right out at you, but it is something that does come about from just the stamina of a game, like the intensity of a game like that.
Yeah, John, and I appreciate the phone call. I know you're a big Steeler fan, and so that first-round game against Buffalo, the final score may have looked like it was a blowout, but the Bills lost some key guys in that game, and they've been were playing must-win games coming out of the bye week, starting with that game with Kansas City, where Kadarius Toney lined up in the neutral zone. The Bills escape with a 2017 win. It's been playoff games. It takes a toll. I can't use that as an excuse.
Well, I mean, I think the analytics show a Monday night team playing on Sunday next week definitely gives you a disadvantage. That's common sense. In fact, it shouldn't have been a Monday game. If you could just get your weather in control up there in Western New York, then it would have been normal.
God.
And I know Andrew Bogus is sitting here. He hates the tired theory, but that is definitely a short week Bills team that came out there. And he's exactly right. You don't think that's a perfectly legitimate argument that the Bills' offensive line was not pushing like it did early in the game.
I can't. I mean, you got the ball in your hands with under 2 minutes left to go and you're driving. Like, I can't all of a sudden say, man, if Mother Nature hadn't really messed with the Bills last week, then maybe they'd have a better shot here. I can't do that.
Well,
that sounds like weak
And that's
sauce.
a team that also had a Sunday night game on week 18 that got kind of a break getting a Monday game. So you got extra rest in the wild card round. And the Steelers played on Saturday, so I don't know who's to say that maybe you got a big advantage in the first game. Like I don't know.
Yeah, but that was
definitely got
Steelers.
2 extra days, but you can't do it. I mean,
You definitely can.
I'm not going to.
Oh, you
would do that.
have no shame.
Well,
so.
I mean, just like you can't pretend that these things don't matter. Obviously, they do. We're talking about the importance of a bye. All that stuff matters big time.
How about Dan Campbell yesterday after the game? He's like, all right, we got 2 down, we got 2 more to go, and there's a bye in between.
Oh, Kyle Shanahan's going to be playing that clip all week.
Probably. Can I just tell everybody what added the insult to the injury for this weekend? Not only did the Bills lose and my favorite team season comes to a crushing defeat once again, our hot water heater blew out Friday night.
Apparently, same thing happened at the stadium last night.
I saw that. I don't think that one was an accident.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
All of a sudden, the Chiefs players had no hot water. That's a shame.
That's hot. So wait,
no hot
so
water
no shower?
all weekend. I finally went to the gym.
Oh,
Showered. My husband too.
That's the worst.
I felt lucky I had the gym.
Yeah.
I could have.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. But I mean, like
friend's house
when those hot water situations happen, like that is.
The worst is you can't do the dishes in the dishwasher. And if you want to just hand wash them, which I'm not above, we had to do that for many years living in New York City with no dishwasher. But you have no hot water, so it feels like the dishes aren't getting clean.
I hate that feeling. I hate with the dishwasher down. You know what else is bad when you have a hypothetical 13-year-old daughter who likes to take 42-minute showers, leaving you with no hot water?
Just a for instance.
Or if you have a 32-year-old man in Queens who also likes to take a lot of hot showers for very long.
Everyone's thinking in the shower.
Yeah, but in Queens, dude, you should have no problem in an apartment building with hot water.
Party laugh.
Oh, I wish, Mr. Bogish.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, the apartment building I lived in Queens had a huge tank of water boiling up all day long. There was never a hot water problem.
Oh, I've had random problems. And I've had days at a time where they say, hey, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay, that I've had.
No hot water because we're trying to, quote unquote, fix it, only to have to then fix it again a month later.
I thought Bogus was like being sarcastic there. Like, of course, I don't even know what you're saying. Is Queens known for having good hot water?
No,
I've never heard that in my life.
So I've had the maintenance issues, but I've never had my wife get out of the shower and go, "Oh, there's no more hot water left."
But that might have just been your apartment. I mean, how do you know? How can you speak for the whole borough?
Because they're huge apartment buildings with huge boilers. That you're in your house, one long shower, a tub filling up for a kid, that can zap all the hot water in your heater.
When we lose hot water, is you also can't do laundry. Because we have a laundry room in our apartment or building, and if there's no hot water, I mean, unless you want to just wash everything cold,
I would have. I didn't try any laundry. I was like, I'm going to just take the weekend off with the laundry.
Ooh,
but it's water heater breaks.
Well,
Bills lose. What else you guys got?
Maggie, maybe you could just now follow that marketing campaign. Go to Astoria to get a hot shower because Queens is known. That's where the hot water flows like lava.
It's actual lava. Bogus has headlines.
At least one of us wants Sean McDermott out in Buffalo after a third playoff exit to the Chiefs in 4 seasons. Andy Reid would not agree.
He's done a phenomenal job here and a phenomenal job this year. Like Coach of the Year level coaching.
And I really love the losing to us part. There was
keep him around. Of course, Andy Reid wants Sean McDermott to stay. He keeps beating him in the playoffs.
Yesterday, there was the dumb fake punt, the debatable play calling on their final drive, and then Tyler Bass's 44-yard miss with 1:43 to go, all after a regular season that was far from smooth sailing. But McDermott wants to try again to get this group to the Super Bowl.
Tonight, we didn't do enough, starting with me. And so, I wouldn't trade any one of those guys or tell you that I'm not confident in those guys. I am extremely confident.
The Chiefs, meanwhile, reached the AFC title game for the 6th year in a row. The first 5 were at home. This one will be in Baltimore Sunday. It's followed by Lions-Niners. Nobody in Detroit for now calling for Dan Campbell's job anymore.
You think about the dark times there early on in 2021, a lot of people calling for his head, a lot of people in this room calling for his head. It's pretty good to be able to sit up here and be able to play in the NFC Championship.
Jared Goff and his head coach winners again this postseason because the QB led 3 long TD drives in the second half. The Lions did give the ball back to the Bucs with time to get the tying points, but linebacker Derek Barnes picked off Baker Mayfield to secure the 31-23 win. Lions OC Ben Johnson might have interviewed for the Falcons vacancy last night. No confirmation on that yet this morning. The Eagles have reportedly fired D coordinator Sean Desai and are not expected to retain Matt Patricia, and Seahawks offensive coordinator Shane Waldron about to take the same job with the Bears. For the second straight game, the Suns' big 3 combined for 91 points last night, 40 for Kevin Durant, 26 from Bradley Beal, 25 from Devin Booker. They beat the Pacers 117-110 for their 5th win in a row. Thankfully, as far as we know, no widows harmed in the making of this NBA ceremony. The Heat retiring Udonis Haslem's number 40 back on Friday night.
I had a speech written, and once I saw, I heard the quotes from my parents, and I saw the seats and just the whole thing, I couldn't even read my speech. Speech was out the window. I couldn't keep it together. So I didn't cry, but I couldn't necessarily couldn't read the speech the way I practiced it 1,000 times. It just didn't work out that way. So I just had to come off the top. I hope I didn't miss anybody.
If there was a widow to be booed in Miami on Friday, apparently EJ would have done it. I don't think he agrees that Udonis Haslam's number 40 should be.
Well, hey, let's also
Raptors.
retire Rick Mahorn, ML Carr, the late great Anthony Mason. Like, let's just retire all random goons numbers for teams.
Whoa!
Like,
What's up, Knicks fans?
Come on.
That's a lot.
Rick
And
Mahorn was a
I
great
love Anthony
player.
Mason. I love all the guys I just named.
Yeah, those are like my favorite
not
players.
ML Carr as much, but come on.
ML Carr, solid guy.
Fine guy. Retiring the number?
First of all, I'm shocked Udonis Haslam is retired. That was news to me. I thought he was still hanging around there.
He's been retired on the team basically for the last 5 years.
I think it's a Lifetime Achievement Award, and they were like, I guess we'll retire.
Is there any difference between a retired Udonis Haslam and an active Udonis Haslam? Paperwork.
Yeah, someone can fight Jimmy Butler, and the other one can't.
That is a must retire. He is the heart and soul of the Miami Heat for 2 decades.
Yeah.
That man is the worst player in the NBA to have his number retired.
Well, if you go by the numbers.
By far.
But what about impact? You know?
Impact for what? For just being a good OG?
No, I thought
he was still playing.
He was good 25 years ago when he was in his prime.
25 years ago,
Before you were alive, he was really good,
E
EJ.
No, I think it's probably because didn't Eric Spoelstra need him as the enforcer on the, kind of execute his message? He probably
That's what I'm saying. Then to me, there are a lot of guys who played in the 80s for franchises who did not get recognized who should be like, hey, what about me?
You can't just put him in the Heat Ring of Honor or something?
Yeah, I mean, Charles Oakley is
What's
getting
the
thrown out
difference?
of MSG. This guy's getting his number retired. I mean, what do we like? Come
Okay,
on.
but that's the Knicks' fault.
The guy played 23 years in Miami.
Right, won multiple titles.
Wait, how many guys from Miami are going to get their jersey retired? So Jimmy Butler at some point?
I mean, why not Antoine Walker? Why not Jason Williams? Why not?
Dude, you know those guys are not Udonis Haslam.
Udonis
Which
Haslam,
Jason Williams? I don't even know which one you're talking about.
Entire career.
Why not Ronnie Cycli?
Why not at this point?
Ronnie Cycli's great. Yeah.
Good DJ,
By the
right?
way, Miami's not been around that long. Are you sure Ronnie Cycli's number's not up there?
Is it up there?
Glenn Rice for sure, right?
I mean, look, the Heat. I mean, they
Are they going to
retired
retire
Michael,
LeBron?
Definitely.
Yes, of course.
They definitely retire LeBron, but I mean, they retire Michael Jordan's number. They're retiring guys on teams that don't even play for them.
Alonzo Mourning, Tim Hardaway, Chris Bosh.
Wade and
Tim Hardaway.
and the Jordan. They retired Jordan's 23. Remember that?
Oh, did everybody retire that?
No, they
No,
did.
only
They did. Yeah, I do remember that.
I mean,
Wait, what?
those are all,
Yes.
you just named all Hall of Famers, right?
I'm sorry, wait a minute. What happened? Where was I living in a rock when this happened? When did they retire Jordan's?
3 or 4 years ago?
No, this was a while ago.
Yeah, it was longer than that.
Oh, was he
might have been-
playing?
Might have been like 10. But
What in the name of Pat Riley? How?
there's Jordan's number 23 Bulls jerseys hanging in the Miami Heat's arena.
A big thank you for retiring so they can have a chance in the playoffs.
These are the jokers you guys are saying that know what they're doing when it comes to retiring numbers.
Wait, were they trying to do some kind of like Jackie Robinson type of thing where
Pat
everyone
Riley
in
believes
baseball?
everybody should retire it, so he jumped the gun.
Wait, by the way, you're retired. Charles Oakley, is he retired or should be retired for the
No.
Knicks?
Yeah, it should be.
It's not, but it's not though. And my thing is,
Well, that's just because of whatever.
But you're talking about Charles Oakley again. I can mention Rick Mahorn. I can mention a
Rick
bunch of
Mahorn
other
should
random
definitely
guys.
be. Is he retired? He's great.
I don't think it is. But like that's my point.
He's
Like,
awesome.
There's a standard for the kind of player you are for the number for getting a number retired.
Well, clearly that standard doesn't exist for the Heat if they retired Michael Jordan's number.
Right,
And all he
right.
did was beat them.
I mean, you just named all Hall of Famers and then the greatest player of all time, and Udonis Haslam's up there.
But it doesn't have to be about 7 points and 6 rebounds a game. And let's also point out, this is a completely useless honor. This is up to the Heat to do whatever they want. This means nothing in the grand scheme of things. He's not in the Hall of Fame.
No,
he has his number retired in Miami because he was a huge factor for 2 decades and multiple title teams.
I'm surprised he actually is into the Hall of Fame. The bar for that is kind of low.
I mean, if I'm Miami Heat fan, I'm taking my kids to the game, and I'm seeing the guys in the rafters, and I'm saying, what did Udonis Haslam do? I'd say he held it down for 20 years. Alonzo Mourning only went to a million All-Star games and Defensive Player of the Year. Tim Hardaway, only one of the greatest point guards of his era. Michael Jordan is only Michael Jordan. Udonis Haslam.
Michael Jordan didn't play here, that guy.
Don't forget,
He was a
Alonzo
good
Mourning
OG.
did it with like one kidney.
Right. He almost died playing for the Miami Heat.
Right.
Rick Mahorn's number is retired at Hampton University, not for the Detroit.
There you go.
It said Rick Mahorn number retired by the Pirates. It took me about 8 minutes to figure out which Pirates I was talking about.
Pittsburgh Pirates.
I had no idea. But
Was there anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay, that's quite a way to end. Okay, lots more to do, including thoughts on these games. And you know it's bad when your mom's talking trash to your quarterback? Get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Without a cowboy quickie, did you? This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. You know it's bad when your family members are trolling members of your team on social media. So how about CeeDee Lamb's mom, whose name is Lita Ramirez, just writes on Facebook in all caps, "Dak isn't it." Multiple exclamation points. And then goes on. Says he wish he could play with C.J. Stroud. Said they need to get rid of Dak Prescott. It's guys on the team that want a ring. They work hard. Basically implying that Dak Prescott doesn't really want a ring and saying as much. He don't want to win a ring, all caps with the ring. So that's CeeDee Lamb's mom. And then you have Micah Parsons' brother, Terrence Parsons Jr. So just remember what the defense looked like before and after Micah. That's all I'm going to say. You want to talk stats, right? Dominant players. You want to have great numbers because they get all the attention. You confuse good with great. LOL. Basically saying Micah Parsons is the difference here. It will be the difference, not Dak Prescott. Am I getting that right?
Got it all. He also pretty much said that, it will be a short day before they take Micah Parsons and get him out of there.
Wait, what?
That Mike Parsons will not be there very long. That was what his brother said.
Oh, right. Because he's up for a contract, right?
Yeah.
That's your cowboy quick.
That's a real good sign for a franchise when we're hearing from siblings and moms,
Yes.
which is every organization's favorite thing.
Also, Micah Parsons had to come out and say the views of Terrence Parsons is not the views of me. So good for him for trying to clear the air. But, not good. Not good at all. But that's the Cowboys, and we get a long time to dissect what's going on with them. Meanwhile, we have a championship round to get to. Perloff, your gut reaction when you hear Ravens, Chiefs, and then Niners, Lions. Start with the
Oh,
AFC.
my gosh. Two great games. The Ravens, Chiefs, I'm dying to know if the Chiefs, how you stop Lamar Jackson. What's the game plan? You said you have a whiteboard in front of you. I have no idea what the answer is. Niners, Lions is going to be a wild shootout. Neither team can play defense right now. I can't wait.
For me, I think it's the Ravens Super Bowl to lose, and that's not just me being sour grapes because the Chiefs beat my Bills last night. I really think the Ravens are the healthier team. They're the more complete team, defense, special teams, all that stuff. Not that the Chiefs have bad special teams. Their kicker's good too, but it just feels super complete with the Ravens. But maybe I'm underestimating Patrick Mahomes, and I would rue the day. And then on the flip side for the 49ers, I thought they escaped with a win against the Packers. And you can blame the rain or whatever, but I thought that Brock Purdy was not great through most of that game. Rallied to put together a final drive that was fantastic. Got his team the win. I wonder if that's in their heads a little bit, though.
I think you saw the real 49ers in the fourth quarter, and they were the dominant team. If that game went to overtime, they were going to smash them. So I disagree with that a little bit.
We've got all week to talk about it, and we can't wait. Thank you to EJ Stewart. Thank you to Peopleati. Thank you to Andrew Kaplan, Andrew Bogish, Weedos, coffee drinkers, callers, everyone on point today. We're back with more football tomorrow, y'all. See you then.
You're in a 5-minute break.